Freeview channel 236
and YouView channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio
with the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, set off early, everybody. A warning of Christmas Eve travel misery as more walkouts begin on the railways.
Good morning, it's 6 o'clock on Christmas Eve, Saturday the 24th of December. This is Breakfast on GB News with Patrick Christys and Ellie Costello. Here are the top stories this morning.
Yes, well, as rail workers go on strike again, millions making their way home for Christmas are warned that it could be chaos on Britain's roads.
There'll be no last-minute deliveries either as Royal Mail workers strike for a second consecutive day. Unions warn they won't be backing down as they fight for a better deal.
A royal milestone. King Charles III will pay tribute to his late mother in his first Christmas message to the nation.
And a Christmas phone call. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak decides not to do a traditional message, instead calling public servants to thank them for their service.
Well, there we go. As ever now, you can join in any of our discussions by emailing gbviews@gbnews.uk. Yes, well, welcome along, everybody. A bit of a different look to breakfast, isn't it? I'm excited.
Yeah, first time ever.
Yes, indeed.
Christys and Costello.
Yes, it sounds like a crime-fighting duo,
That's what we
doesn't
would
it?
say.
Yeah, make sure you keep emailing in, though, and get your wonderful Christmas festivities on Christmas trees and also your favourite songs, worst presents, best presents, all of that jazz.
Yeah, keep it coming. We're going to share as much as we can throughout the programme with you this morning. But first of all, let's go to our top story, shall we? And get ready for more travel chaos, with families driving home for the festive period being told to brace themselves for disruptions as further rail strikes kick in from 6 p.m.
Well, Network Rail is advising passengers to travel today only if absolutely necessary, saying that most people should try to complete their journeys by 3 p.m.
Well, in the latest strikes in the run-up to Christmas, Border Force staff as well as postal workers are also walking out over pay and working conditions.
The Prime Minister has apologised for the Christmas travel disruption, but insists that public sector pay must be controlled.
Well, joining us now is Will Hollis, our East Midlands reporter at Nottingham Railway Station. Good morning to you, Will. How's it looking there?
Good morning. Well, for a Saturday, for Christmas Eve, at this time, 6 a.m. in the morning, you are expecting it to be generally quite quiet, but it is actually quite eerie how seemingly quiet it is around Nottingham train station. I've just been inside for a little bit of a look and had a look on the board. There are no East Midlands Railway trains operating today, so except for a very small service between London St Pancras and Corby. But inside of Nottingham train station, there are only a few cross-country trains that appear to be coming in. This is every 30 minutes or so. Usually on a normal day, there would be every few minutes. But of course, on Christmas Eve, despite this early time, usually lots of trains would be coming in and taking people out. And it's going to get quite busy usually on Christmas Eve. Of course, there are no trains running in and out of Nottingham today. The big one is, of course, thousands of union members of RMT, as well as some other unions, depending on where you are in the country, are on strike. It really does feel like the culmination of this year of strikes that we've been having, as you mentioned, border force, postal workers, but I think the real big one has really been the railways, particularly for how people have been affected. Of course, it is mainly about pay. The RMT and other unions would say that they want something that's a little bit more in line with inflation. They're not getting anywhere near that 10% number at the moment. It isn't just about pay, though. Of course, it's about working conditions as well, particularly the idea of having driverless trains, no ticket officers, so there won't necessarily be somebody in a little box that you can go and talk to about which train you need to get. You might have to do a little bit more searching for yourself. It's really about protecting those conditions from unions like the RMT, as well as I say, about pay. The man who's become a bit of a famous face for rightly or wrongly reasons, depending on which way you might look at it, is of course Mick Lynch from the RMT. He is the General Secretary. He said that the union remains available for talks to resolve this dispute, but until the government gives the rail industry a mandate to come to a negotiated settlement on job security, pay and conditions of work, our industrial campaign will continue into the new year if necessary. As you said at the start there, the advice really is to only travel if absolutely necessary. The few trains that are running on tracks today will probably be very busy, and you're being advised to, if you are going to get a train, do it as early as possible, because most trains will be stopping about 3 p.m. ahead of the strikes officially starting at 6 p.m.
So, Will, that's the picture in Nottingham. How's it looking nationally as people make their way up and down across the country? The roads are going to be busy, aren't they?
Yes, the AA is estimating that 17 million people are going to be on the roads. Most of the roads are going to be busy at this time of the year. Driving home for Christmas is the famous song and the famous saying. Most people would say that it's quite nice to drive home for Christmas. I can't imagine on any of the main motorways or any of the main A roads in and out of big cities or even on rural roads are going to be very pleasant for many people today. National Express and other coach services have put on extra services over the last few days, so many people that would have to get a train today because they've working commitments or for whatever reason, they'll be looking to get on coach services instead. This really isn't something that you could have missed, whether it's because you mainly stay on social media or because you watch the news. There is no way that you could have missed that these strikes were coming. But if by some miracle you have missed that this is happening today and you're sitting in a hotel after a night out and you're watching this on television, the advice really is to get moving right now, because there is very little opportunity as the day goes on, and particularly around midday, those roads are going to be very busy and very congested.
Yeah, good luck with people if they are indeed just waking up at 6 minutes past 6 on Christmas Eve in a hotel room somewhere, getting up and getting moving right now. Will, I've got to ask you, it's something we're going to be asking our viewers and our listeners throughout the course of the day as they email in. Emails already coming in, by the way, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Will, what's your favourite Christmas song?
Favourite Christmas song?
Yeah.
Probably White Christmas. I won't sing it. I mean, I will sing it if you really want me to. But I think Michael Bublé does a much better option, a much better rendition than Will Hollis.
I mean, we weren't going to ask you, Will, and then you just said that. I think now you're going to do it.
I'll tell you what. Maybe as the hours progress and I become a little bit more delirious,
Okay.
Maybe.
Good stuff. Will Hollis, thank you very much as ever. He's reporting to us from outside Nottingham Railway Station. Good luck getting home, everybody, or getting to wherever you've got to go to. I really do feel for people.
Good luck.
Stranded
Good luck if you're trying to get on the roads today.
Yeah.
And he might need a coffee, maybe a Bailey's coffee or something.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. Just keep Will pepped.
Yeah, something to look forward to, though. A little sing-song from Will, a little bit later on in the programme.
Absolutely,
We look forward to that.
Fantastic stuff. All right, well, look, thank you very much, everyone who's already been getting in touch. Yes, keep those emails coming in. We do want to hear from you. We're all in this together. But it's another strike day, isn't it, for postal workers across the UK as they argue for better pay, terms and conditions.
Yes, it's the 10th day they've walked out in the run-up to the festive season. Part of the dispute, which has been going on since the summer, and it's caused disruption for businesses and customers looking to receive letters and parcels this month.
Well, Royal Mail say there will be no standard deliveries. Meanwhile, they'll deliver as many special deliveries and tracked parcels as possible today.
Well, our national reporter Thea Jacumba has this story.
It's yet another day where those expecting deliveries may have to wait a little longer as members of the Communication Workers Union walk out for the second day after rejecting a deal this week within hours of receiving it.
All we asked for the company in return was to get round the table, proper negotiations, not to introduce unagreed change while those talks were taking place, and to give us the assurance that they're not going to introduce a new resourcing model to bring in self-employed workers who have to pay for their own vans, their own, they don't get holiday pay, they don't get sick pay, agency workers and workers on 20% less terms and conditions.
Bearing the brunt, this business in West London manufactures beauty products for people with sensitive skin.
Good morning, guys. How are you getting on today?
This time of the year is their peak trading period.
Christmas time and also the time before Black Friday. It's probably the most busiest time during the year. So sometimes we need to call like extra help from either agency or even from different departments. So we are like a family, so we usually help each other just to make sure that the product is made on time, but also with the highest quality standard. So that's our aim.
Postal workers have been offered a 9% pay increase over 18 months, described by Royal Mail as the company's best and final offer. But what does this mean for millions of customers across the UK who rely on their service? It is that time of the year again when many people will be coming into their local high streets to get those last-minute Christmas presents. But this year, with Royal Mail strikes, some are experiencing delays, especially if they haven't had the opportunity to come and get them in person. The strikes have caused disruption in the days leading up to Christmas for Pi Skincare, as they say Royal Mail is the glue that connects them to their online customers.
It's often not just people desperately, panic buying gifts. Often for us, because we are a beauty brand, many of our customers will be realising they're going away and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to run out of my skincare. So they're doing a lot of panic replenishment too. So there's a bit of that, but this last week and those last days before Christmas are really busy for us.
While there are no further strike days announced yet, no agreement has been reached, meaning we could see further strike days next year. Theo Chkomba, GB News.
OK, well, there we go. Let's bring you up to date now with what's going on today, everybody. It's all going rather well here. The number of people to very sadly die from the blistering cold weather in the US has sadly risen to 13. Now, 4 people have been confirmed dead and many others injured in a massive car crash caused by extreme ice at Ohio Turnpike in Erie County. Temperatures plunged as low as minus 45 degrees in some areas. The storm is forecast to develop into what's being described as a bomb cyclone, bringing with it heavy, blinding snow.
You think we've got it bad with our travel?
Dear me, that's
really
terrible.
Awful.
Absolutely.
The US Congress has passed a £37 billion emergency aid bill for Ukraine. The record military funding follows President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington on Wednesday, his first foreign trip since the start of the Russian invasion. The bill, which passed only hours before the midnight deadline, was hotly contested by Conservative Republicans who raised concerns about the level of US support for Ukraine.
Well, a woman and 2 men have been killed and several others injured after a gunman opened fire at a Kurdish community centre in Paris. Protesters clashed with police near to where the incident took place. The French president called the incident a heinous attack on the Kurdish community. A 69-year-old man who was already known to police has been detained.
The Sun newspaper has said it regrets publishing a column by Jeremy Clarkson in which he discusses his hatred for the Duchess of Sussex. The Independent Press Standards organisation received more than 20,000 complaints about the article. The Sun has said it is sincerely sorry. Mr. Clarkson said he'd be more careful in future.
Yeah, indeed. Well, a member of Scottish Parliament and former police officer has warned about the tragic consequences of drink driving. Audrey Nichols says enjoyment can't come at the expense of safety this festive season. Police Scotland launched a campaign on the dangers of consuming alcohol and drugs before getting behind the wheel, with more than 600 drivers caught last year.
Now, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has used his Christmas message to thank public servants. Let's have a listen.
Hello.
Hi, is that Chris?
Yes, Ethan. Hi there.
Hi, Chris. It's Rishi Sunak. How are you?
What? Hello.
I'm the British Prime Minister. I thought we'd give you a call to say thank you, Sharon, for an incredible job that you've done.
It's such a big surprise.
Because I know you've played a really important role in helping provide support during the flooding that's happened recently, and you did some extraordinary things.
Thank you, Rishi, for giving me this opportunity, and being honest, this appreciation means a lot and has taken me by a complete surprise as well.
What you do is fantastic. It makes a big difference to some people who need that extra bit of help. You know, we're delighted to fund work like yours, and you know, particularly this time of year, as I said, it makes a big difference. So I just wanted to call and say thank you to you for that.
Honestly, it means so much to me to get that feedback, and it really does. And I hope you have a lovely Christmas, your family too, and everyone else. And yeah, thank you again. Like I said, just in such shock, but yeah, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Take care. Have a great Christmas.
You'd have to assume that was a prank call, wouldn't you? If your phone went off and it was Rishi, oh, it's just the Prime Minister here, you'd be like, yeah, all right, mate, come off it.
Imagine packing up for Christmas, sorry, and then the phone ringing, and it's like, it's the British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak here.
Yeah.
What?
I always feel sorry. It's like those people, you know, when they're like, right, on radio, and they're like, right now, if we ring your phone, OK, the first word that you've got to say is Christmas, and you can win £500,000, and the phone goes, and the answer is like, hello? You all right? Well, imagine that if you did that with Rishi Sunak, but there we go.
It's nice, though. I think that's quite nice. Compared to a traditional Christmas message. Feels a bit more real.
Well, the thing is, I think, because this year's Christmas message as Prime Minister would probably be a bit miserable.
Yeah,
everyone's on
depressing.
strike. It's been a bit of a shocker of a year. So this is a way of maybe softening it a bit.
Maybe, yes. Let's go for the nice, softly approach. Also, do let us know what you think about our tree. We've got some nice Union Jack baubles going on.
Well, and Arlene Foster, who I am reliably informed is probably still in bed, actually, but she got us a Belfast bauble. She wanted to point that out, which leads us nicely onto you sending in pictures of your Christmas trees and your variety of decorations. I'm just going to hold my hands up here. I spent £450 on tat. Absolute tat.
What, for decoration?
Yeah, I've had to bin most of it because I've got a very small flat, and so I thought, oh, this will be nice. It looks like a grotto. It looked like Santa had thrown up everywhere. It's horrible.
£450 on decoration?
Yeah, for nothing. For absolutely nothing.
I actually just went on Amazon and I spent about £50. It looks stunning.
Really?
It's gold.
Really?
Yeah. Some would say tacky.
Some would say.
I would say stunning.
Oh, OK. Well, get your pictures coming in, gbviews@gbnews.uk, of your stunning or tacky Christmas
Yeah,
dance.
and we'll rank them out of 10, shall we?
Yes. Well, tomorrow, of course, is Christmas. Yes, get in. And for many, it is a celebration of coming together with your loved ones and a time for togetherness.
Yes, and millions will be attending Christmas Eve services across the UK later.
But what is the real meaning behind Christmas? Joining us now from Palestine is Reverend Fadi Diab. Reverend, thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Great to have you on. So how are worshippers celebrating where you are today?
Good morning and Merry Christmas. Thank you for having me. Well, in Palestine, this is a very, very important day for all of us here in the Holy Land. We all recognize that it all happened here in Palestine, in Bethlehem, the little town of Bethlehem. As the Christian community and many visitors from around the world continue to visit Bethlehem during these days, we remember that this is a Christmas feast where God's good news were released to humanity, and where God has chosen to, come to earth, be with our humanity, and redeem them. So it's a time of great festival for all of us here in the Holy Land.
Do you find that people only go to Mass, to church at a festive time or on a special occasion? Or do you feel like people like that solitude, that time to reflect once a week?
Well, no, this is, first of all, this is for us, this is a national holiday. This is a national festival. You find celebrations everywhere, at every corner, in many cities and towns, but particularly in Bethlehem, where people not only go to mass, but also march in the streets with parades and Christmas carols and Christmas markets. So that is something that we find everywhere.
No, indeed, and I think in this ever-changing world and ever-increasing modern world, people wonder whether or not there's still a place for religion. And Christmas often is all about presents for kids and things, but there is a much deeper meaning behind it. How important is it that people remember those religious reasons?
Well, we need to recognize that religion is an integral part of our world, whether we like it or not. And it's not because religion as an institution is there, but it is because of the message that the Christian religion provides for the world. And this is very important. And we need to recognize that our faith is what keeps us going in life, especially for those who continue to be afflicted by many different reasons, whether that is conflict or weather or strifes. This is how we continue to go, because we have faith in a God who sent his Son to the world to redeem the world, who has sent his Son to show how much God loves every single human and even all creation. And that is love, is the core message of Christmas. God so much loved the world that he sent his Son to redeem the world. This is the message of Christmas that we all need to live and enact in our lives, that God is love, and we are to continue that message in our lives, in our ministries, in our churches. What does it mean to love God, and what does it mean to love our neighbors? This is the message of Christmas. How can we stretch out a hand for those in need or for those oppressed in our world? Christmas is a message that brings peace, even in times of conflict, even in times of strife. It reminds us of the King of Peace, who was born in a little town in Bethlehem. It's a message of humility and the need to relinquish our power and depend on God.
Reverend Diab, that's a really, really nice Christmas message. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Merry Christmas to you as well in Palestine.
Merry Christmas, absolutely. Yeah, I think I needed to hear a little bit of that this morning, actually.
Felt like we were at Christmas Eve church.
I actually feel like I've got Mass out of the way. You know,
we've done our duty, yeah. Plenty more to come on Breakfast. After the break, GB News presenter Gloria De Piero goes to a community store to see how people are coping with the cost of living crisis this Christmas.
Good morning, I'm Alex Deakin, and this is your latest weather forecast from the Met Office. Christmas Eve, like Christmas Day, will be pretty mild and windy. There's going to be some rain around as well, but colder conditions are on the way for Boxing Day. Here's the big picture. Low pressure in control. It's wafting in mild air, and with that milder air comes plenty of showers as well. In fact, this morning we do have some snow falling over northern Scotland, mostly over hills, but some for a time getting down to lower levels. That should tend to fizzle out through the day. And actually, for most places, it's a dry and a bright Christmas Eve. There'll be some decent spells of sunshine. The winds will strengthen later, and certainly this afternoon, some showers for Wales and Northern Ireland that could well be on the heavy side. It is going to be mild, temperatures reaching double figures across the south and even further north across Scotland, a little warmer than it was yesterday. Still feeling cold, though, in the far north with the wet and windy weather here. Getting blustery everywhere this afternoon and through this evening. Some heavy showers moving into Wales, across Scotland, northern England too, and eventually into the Midlands. So it's a showery and blustery start to Christmas Day. It won't be a cold start, and these showers will be of rain, so you're not going to wake up to anything deep and crisp and even with these kind of temperatures, 5 to 8 degrees as we start Christmas Day. It is going to be a day of showers then, with some bright or sunny spells in between. It is going to be fairly windy as well, which means the showers will move through. Quite a lot of cloud across East Anglia and the southeast, with some more persistent rain perhaps here for a time. Showers elsewhere, but not everywhere seeing the showers. Some places, northern England, northern Scotland, may actually have a largely dry day. It is going to be mild, with temperatures getting up to double figures almost across the board, 8 or 9 across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Late in the day, northerly winds set in, bring some snow showers to northwest Scotland on Christmas Day night. That cold air arrives for all of us on Boxing Day, when there could well be some more snow showers in western Scotland. Merry Christmas.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you know, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prisons? I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy nearly Christmas. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with me, Patrick Christie's, and the wonderful Ellie.
Yes, I thought you were going to say Happy New Year there.
No.
Happy nearly Christmas.
Happy nearly Christmas.
Yes. Very, very good. Well, this Christmas has been different for many, hasn't it, with the cost of living crisis, meaning that budgets have been stretched like never before. Well, GB News presenter Gloria De Piero went to a community store where people go to top up their food shops. Another impact of the financial squeeze.
This is the Evelyn Community Store in South London. For £3.50 a week, local people can sign up and that entitles them to get extra food to feed their families. The essentials, really. But who uses a place like this? Well, 2 of the 4 people we're about to meet are in work. The other 2 have worked pretty much all their lives and until pretty recently, but are currently too sick to be in the workplace. Do you know what? Let them tell their own stories. Let's go inside. We're roughly about the same age. Yeah. Places like this didn't exist when we were growing up.
Yeah.
What would, just chip in as you feel, what would your life be like if you weren't a member of this club where you pay £3.50 a week to top up your shopping?
It would be a lot harder. It would be a lot harder, no doubt about it. I mean, there would be many things in your fridge, freezer and fridge and cupboard that you couldn't have. I mean, things are a lot better. I mean, it's not so tough on me, Gloria, because I don't have children. I've only got to look out for them, so it's a damn sight easier.
You were homeless?
No, I'm not homeless now.
But you were?
No, I was, but that was a year ago, so that's irrelevant now. That doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter how before. What matters is now, in the future. So I'm not homeless now, and I don't have children. So my life's not so bad. So I've got no complaints.
Tell me how would you, so both you and your husband are working full time, you've got 5 children.
How would you feed them all? Afford to feed them all? Because you're trying to better yourself as well. You're trying to get a new qualification to be an accountant.
I would say that life would be impossible. Because, I mean, prior to this, I've been in debts, having to pay back, like times where I had child tax credit, always having to pay back the child tax credit. I mean, I'm still paying back child tax credit because I had a child in nursery at some point, and my husband was off work for 3 years. He lost his job. And during that time, there was so much. I mean, I must say that there were times at the beginning with my family where I was grateful, actually, to be able to buy baby food with a credit card. So those are times where, when you think that being grateful to have a credit card, but to buy food. So it's not like going to buy something luxurious, a nice boot, pair of boots, but just to buy food. And I was grateful for that.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, I can't tell you, I cannot put a value to what it has done.
Yeah.
Because not only, at least, it has reduced my food bill a lot. And then we get exposed to things that I personally wouldn't have gone to the shop to buy because I would know that I cannot afford it. I would not go to shop in Waitrose. We have things from Waitrose sometimes. We have things from Marks and Spencer, you know, which I would not have gone to buy because I know I cannot afford that.
What would it be like if you didn't have the supply of food that you get from here?
I'd probably be on baked beans. On toast every day because you know, luckily I like baked beans. Some brands more than others, but I mean,
but not every night. Yeah.
No,
exactly.
no.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it would be tough without the supplies for you, Sue.
Even though I work part-time here, it helps top up my shopping as well because I find out I'm spending less in Tesco's now than I was spending before.
Things are so expensive. Because things.
The community store is a godsend.
I don't know what I would have done with that.
It's a godsend.
For the last five and a half years of my life, it's done a hell of a lot for me.
Yeah, we get to eat the fruits and vegetables that we probably couldn't afford. So, you know, it's
Cost
good.
of food, going to the supermarket, putting the heating on. How much do you worry about putting the heating on? Do you have to? We have to do it.
I haven't put it on so far.
Yeah.
You haven't?
No,
because
I've
you're scared of it.
just been putting...
You haven't put it on?
I mean, since winter came, well, I haven't turned my central heating on. And then obviously, when I wanted to turn it on, I discovered it wasn't working. It's been repaired. It was being repaired, but I still haven't turned it on. But luckily, I have this one oil-filled radiator. So that's what I have in my sitting room. So I'm warming my sitting room. I mean, since it got cold, I've only warmed my sitting room. But then I'll have the issue where I have mold, so it's just going to get worse this winter because I'm not going to heat the house.
Do you own your house?
No, I'm in a council property. So they do it when summer comes, then winter comes, the mold comes back again. So even with the heating, the mold was there. So without heating, it's just going to get very, very bad. But then,
that's not right.
So you two have always voted.
Yeah, I've always voted.
And you two basically have always not.
I just forget. Most of the time, I forget.
But if you thought somebody was fighting for you and if it would make a difference to your life, you would vote.
Yeah, of course.
People feel disenfranchised. They feel disillusioned. It's understandable that people think just like, well, what's the point? Well, because if it isn't exactly, so if it's not going to make any real difference, well, it's a fair question. What is the point?
It's like,
what is the point? You know.
I mean, I could swear now, but I'm not going to. But you know, I've had conversations with a couple of friends, and I say they can't organise. The government can't organise in a brewery. You know, they can't. We'd be better off. People like us, we'd be better off.
Yeah, people like you with your life experience,
exactly,
were able to have a voice and decision, and like because you know what decisions are made to help people who are struggling. Well, so many people struggling with the cost of living.
I just want to hopefully be here to watch my son grow up and leave uni, because he wants to go uni in a couple of years. So
how does that make you feel that your son's going to...
Proud, very proud of him. He's very academic as well, so I'm very proud of him, yeah. So, because he's got no dad, I just want to hope that I'll be here to see him do that. That's the only one thing I want to do.
That's really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's the reality, isn't it? People are going to find it very difficult this year. Many people having a very different looking Christmas, maybe having to save money or buy fewer presents or have a very different looking Christmas dinner table.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, I now feel incredibly guilty about saying that I had to throw away some Christmas decks.
Yeah, £450.
That's money I'll never see again.
Yes.
Right,
yes. Well,
okay.
maybe we should take some tips. And we do have Will Hodgson, actually, who's a consumer saving, money-saving champion.
Good.
He might be able to help you.
Well, I've naturally left it to the last minute and have a world of shopping to do later today.
Been a man about it, haven't you?
Yes, I have indeed. But I can blame it this year on Royal Mail. But, yes, no, look, loads of you have been getting in touch. We've got some emails in front of us here. Now, very shortly, anyway, we're going to be showing your wonderful Christmas decks and everything that you've got coming up in your house. Fantastic. Some of the ones...
Very impressive.
Some of the ones I'm not sure are real. You know who you are. But these are just amazing. If you've gone to the effort to genuinely do these, so we'll get them up on the screen shortly. But yeah, loads of you are getting in touch. Saying, good morning, Patrick and Ellie. Happy Christmas to you both. This is from Lorraine. Thank you very much, Lorraine. She's asking if I ever have any time off. No, Lorraine, sleep is for the week.
He lives here now.
I do.
He sleeps under the desk.
Just under there.
Yeah. He's got a sleeping bag and everything. Who's this from now? Dawn. Good morning to you. Merry Christmas. Morning, Patrick and Ellie. Merry Christmas to you both. My favourite song is Annie Lennox's version of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. There you go, got there in the end. It's just superb, says Dawn. I don't know if I've heard that version.
I don't know, but maybe if we're allowed to play it out, not sure we are, due to copyright laws. What's your favourite Christmas song, quickly?
Driving home.
There you go, people.
What about you?
I'm not going to sing it, but the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York. Although, to be fair, I probably could sing that because, you know, it's not renowned for its vocals from the chap involved there, but there we go. Anyway, we'll keep your views coming in and lovely to hear from you as well. Happy Christmas Eve, everybody. And yes, we do want to see your wonderful Christmas decks, and I promise you we will go to them shortly.
Yes, coming up after the break, we're going to go through the front pages of today's newspapers. That's after this.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Deebs & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store. You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
The guy went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions. I have no time for cultural totalitarianism. We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Patrick and Ellie.
Yes, and Christmas may look a little different for you this year, with energy bills racking up amid the cost of living crisis. We've all had to make unwanted cutbacks on certain expenses this Christmas season. But how can you cut down on waste this year and ensure that you have a wonderful Christmas without breaking the bank?
Well, joining us, we have the consumer champion. It's Will Hodson from How to Save It, a campaign that focuses on bringing down Britain's energy bills permanently. Look, thank you very much. We all need a bit of help with this at the moment. I mean, there's enough lights in this studio, isn't it? It's like Blackpool Illuminations, as Mum would say. But how can people save a little bit of money?
Well, the first thing is you look at the bills that really matter the most, and those are the big ones. We all know that our energy bills have gone through the roof. So at this time of year, especially when you've got lots of people in your house, I think it's worth thinking about how you can save money on those bills. And the truth is, it's not rocket science. We can all do it. It just goes back to principles of being efficient and avoiding waste. So it helps a lot if you've had the money to invest over the year in your energy efficiency. Things like insulation, if you had your attic insulated, that will have made a massive difference. But don't worry if you haven't, there are things you can do at home. Things that go down to how you're even cooking your Christmas dinner.
Absolutely, yes. So, I mean, how can we save money when it comes to cooking the Christmas dinner, apart from potentially, well, I was going to say getting a takeaway, but I suppose that costs money as well, doesn't it? What would you do? I've heard air fryers are all the rage these days, but yeah, how can we save money when it comes to our actual Christmas dinner?
Well, again, it goes to this principle about efficiency. So let's just stop and think about, the principle of boiling water for a cup of tea. If you fill your entire kettle to make a small cup of tea, that's inefficient. And likewise, if you're using a vast oven to bake a few potatoes or put a small bird in there, that can be inefficient, which is why you've got a lot of people making a lot of hype around the air fryer, which is the new thing that everyone's talking about. But also things like a microwave can be a lot more efficient. You've got a small device doing just the job that's needed rather than using a vast oven. But if you are using that vast oven, there are a few tips that we can still use. So I don't think we're going to convert people who've been making their Christmas dinners in an oven for 30 or 40 years into suddenly saying, I'm going to be the Gordon Ramsay of the air fryer. So if you are using that oven, bear in mind, it's going to be making your kitchen and eating area that much warmer. So it might be an idea you spend a bit more time in that part of the house. That goes to the heating bill again. I think all of us, at this time of year, if you've got family around who are used to different temperatures in the house, are looking at how you can keep everyone warm. I've got to give one tip, which is a purely practical social tip that I have for my family, which is this: no whinging without wool. You've got people knocking around the house wearing their Hawaiian shirts and shorts at this time of year. They've got no right at all to complain about you saying we're trying to keep the temperature down. So I have everyone put on their jumpers and their jackets, and that's a decent start to keeping themselves at an affordable temperature.
Oh, well, I'm very guilty for that. Very, very bad. Just walking around in a T-shirt and complaining about the cold. It's been a really tough few months for people, hasn't it? But especially in the last few weeks, we've had that cold snap, lots of snow in lots of different parts of the country, meaning people have had to ramp up their heating maybe for the first time this year. And also in the run-up to Christmas, buying presents, really difficult for people who are struggling with the cost of living. Is there a concern about people entering 2023 in debt, trying to keep up with heating bills, energy bills, and also spending for Christmas like you usually would?
There is a concern, Ellie, there's no doubt about it. And I think that, for many of us, this was clear months ago when you could see that people were going to slip into debt when they were faced with bills that the government knew were unpayable. I think you had to look down the line and say, how is that debt going to be collected? I am nervous you've got some kind of slightly more aggressive tactics that could come into use over next year. I think it's imperative that the government and energy companies ensure that that does not happen. But for most of us, I think there's the government schemes in place, for example, in terms of the energy bill support, but also with other kind of forms of support that people should make sure that they're in touch with their energy company as well as their local council to make sure they've got all the support that they can have. That's vital to help you get through the winter ahead.
Will Hodgson, really good to have you on the show, as always. And Merry Christmas to you. Hope you have a lovely day tomorrow.
Yes, Merry Christmas
Thanks,
indeed. Absolutely right. OK, so we've basically been asking you, haven't we, to do the heavy lifting for us on this show, OK? We love a bit of audience interaction. Today is no different. In fact, especially today, we wanted your Christmas decks up, and people have not disappointed, have they?
No, actually, they put us to shame. I was quite proud of this.
Well,
Before these photos started coming through. Let's start with this one, shall we? This is Heather's Christmas tree. Gone for a nice silver theme if you're listening on the radio.
I don't want to... This is a family show, OK? I don't want to call it out, Heather. You've done wonders there. But that is not a Christmas tree. That's a Christmas potted plant.
That's a Christmas bush.
It's a Christmas bush, indeed. Absolutely. As festive as it is, though. As festive as it is. Gary's been on, apparently. Come on, come on, people. What's going on here?
Now, that is a potted plant.
That very much is. That very much is. Dare I ask, what is that behind? I can't really see one.
It's a Christmas present wrapped up.
It's a Christmas
So I think
wrapped
that's
up.
the presents under the tree.
That's the Christmas present by the tree. OK, all right, fair enough. And now what's this we've got next here? That's a cushion in my flat.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
That's some other tat in my flat.
What's that then? That's
Beardy Santa, the traditional family of Christmas owls, and a lantern, the tree there with presents. Those presents got opened last night. I did it. I opened the presents last night, and what looks like an altar. We've got, that's a tablecloth, should have ironed it, the Christmas stag, some lights and a nice forest setting.
You weren't joking, were you?
I am not joking. Also, you can see a wreath in the middle of my table.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the absolute hovel that I live in. And it does look like a grotto, doesn't it? There we go.
Did you have a theme, or was this just an eclectic mix?
No. Never let me loose at the shops.
Yes.
Basically, I decided I was going to go to 3 different shops, just bought a random assortment of Christmas tat. None of it goes together. And actually, most of that's in the bin now. But there we go. Keep your lovely Christmas decorations coming in.
And is this just located in the lounge or throughout the flat?
It's just in the lounge. No, there's a little bit as well in the bedroom. There's like some... It's not tasteful. None of it's tasteful.
It's like a winter wonderland.
Yeah,
in your flat.
but like a really bad one. You know, just a really bad one. The one
I don't want to say anything.
You want your money back after you've paid for it, you know, but there we go. Right, OK, so we're moving on.
Do keep them coming. Do keep them coming. GBNews at gbnews.uk.
Keep them coming, people. There's loads of good ones in the inbox. We'll keep going to them. Right, now, let's take a look at today's front pages.
Yes, The Times leads with Rishi Sunak's plans to lure early retirees back to work, with the headline, Over 50s encouraged to end early retirement.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how on earth he's going to manage to do that. But The Telegraph leads with the rise in defence spending, with an estimated £1 billion extra needed for the Ministry of Defence to avoid real-term cuts over the next 2 years.
The Guardian stays on the topic of strikes and how unions are reportedly accusing ministers of causing festive travel chaos.
And the Daily Mail, they take a different angle on the strikes, claiming that the NHS are wasting millions on woke non-jobs as frontline workers strike for better pay.
And finally, The Mirror leads with what we can expect from Charles's first Christmas speech as king, with the headline, Always Close to Mama.
Oh, yes, there we go. Right, well, it's time to go through those papers now, isn't it? And joining us this morning is the editor of Spiked, Tom Slater, and journalist and playwright, Emma Burnell. Fantastic. Right, well, where to start? Shall we go over to you, Tom?
Yes, so we're starting with the Daily Telegraph, which is the latest development in the discussion around gender self-ID after those reforms were passed in Scotland. So I'm sure many people have been following these kind of loosening up of the rules around gender recognition, making it much more straightforward, no need for a diagnosis, cutting the time down to just a couple of months from a couple of years. A lot of concerns, obviously, about the impact this would have on women's sex-based rights as well as child protection. 2/3 of the Scottish people in polls suggest that they're against it. And Keir Starmer, with his, ever-reliable political instinct, thinks we'll have a bit of that as well. So his comments previously about wanting to, again, reform the UK-wide gender recognition laws have kind of resurfaced, and even kind of internal sources suggesting that is what he wants to do. But, given the fact that he's been it seems at this point he's been handed the next election on a plate, these are the sort of things that he could potentially get away with, despite how unpopular they are with the rest of the country.
Yeah, well, indeed. I mean, it is an incredibly controversial topic. I mean, it really broke big time yesterday, the day before as well, as people were discussing it in the Scottish Parliament. Massive protest, very much two sides to this. I'm quite keen to get your views on that, Emma. What do you think about it?
Well, I think there are two things in this story. This is a very, very odd story because it's entirely based on an interview that is over a year old. And in fact, Keir Starmer has said other more nuanced things since. Look, I'm a gender-critical feminist. I'm a second-wave feminist. I believe in protecting sex-based rights. I'm very disappointed, both in this legislation and in the Labour Party's lack of standing up on this. So I'm not here to say that the Labour Party have got this absolutely right. In no way am I saying that. And in fact, I've spent quite a lot of time campaigning to try and get them to listen to women's groups on this issue, understand that there are real nuances, important conflicts of rights that need a proper discussion rather than just a shutting down of debate. But to put a front page story and you read it and you get to about the 4th paragraph and it says this is based on an interview Keir Starmer gave to Pink News over a year ago, and you're like, then why is it on the front page of your newspaper?
Labour did vote for it in Holyrood and were whipped to vote for it, so you can understand.
No, absolutely, and I mean there are tensions between whether the Scottish Labour Party is autonomous or if it's part of the UK Labour. And again, I'm not here to defend the Labour Party's position on this at all. I have tried very hard and campaigned internally within the Labour Party to try and change their position, to try to move them to a more nuanced central ground on this. But I do think it's an odd story to say that Keir Starmer's going all guns blazing based on a year-old interview.
Yeah.
It's controversial, isn't it? But it was interesting how quickly it was pushed through as well. I mean, it was, came very quickly through Holyrood. I think you were talking about that on your show. Really controversial. I know lots of you will have opinions on that as well, so do keep that coming in as well. GBViews at gbnews.uk. Emma, we're going to look at something completely different now, and this is the horrific scenes in Paris. 3 people killed in a gun attack there.
It's just horrendous, and I mean, you just can't imagine. You're at your cultural centre, place that you feel safe, a place that you're spending time with your community, in your wider community of Paris. And Paris is a lovely, beautiful city, very multicultural. And for this to, I mean, I don't want to assume anything, but we do know that the person who has been arrested does have an arrest history of racially aggravated crimes. And you just think, this is so heartbreaking. And OK, these are Kurdish people, they may not be Christian, but this is a time of year that the world is celebrating generally, and you just think how heartbreaking for them to be going through this at this time.
Tom, I'll throw it your way, as we're actually seeing various different images on our screens at the moment. If you're listening on radio, there were full-blown riots, really, yesterday taking place in the wake of this. I was live on air at the time, and we ended up spending the vast majority of the show with these quite startling live images. Your reaction to that side of it, Tom?
Well, I think it just shows the kind of sense that communities don't feel like they're being looked after, but also the general sense of sort of instability in the country. I mean, it's worth remembering that over the course of the past 6 or 7 years, France, but particularly Paris, it's just been rocked by kind of one horrendous atrocity after another, primarily Islamist, of course, but still you do see things like this. And you do get that kind of sense of insecurity that must be felt by not just the Kurdish part of the population, but the population in general is going to be quite significant. So it's just one of those things we think is just particularly tragic, given the past, as I say, 6, 7, 8 years that particular country has experienced.
It's not the first time the Kurds have been attacked in Paris. I think there was something similar in 2010 where 3 women were killed. So it's certainly something that's been rumbling on for a long time. But lots of tension in Paris at the moment. Tom, let's have a look at the Daily Mail, shall we? Obviously, we know about the strikes, the ambulances and the nurses in the past 2 weeks, but they've got a completely different take on this, and the NHS wasting millions.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a kind of long-running scandal, really, if anyone has been paying a bit of attention, because whilst there's been this chronic problem with understaffing in the NHS, with people not being adequately rewarded for their work and so on, leading to the situation that we're at now in many respects, there has been this kind of long-running issue where you would see these job ads pop up. Diversity officer.
Director of lived experience was a personal favourite, because it's the only kind of experience you can actually really have.
Exactly. I mean, surely everyone's qualified.
Yeah,
the lived experience
indeed.
Role. And for that particular role, what was it, £115,000, which would be, what, 3 nurses?
At least.
At least, yeah.
So, of course, getting rid of the diversity officers is not going to solve the problem of NHS structure, funding, inefficiencies, whatever it is that you're concerned about. But it does show a particularly warped set of priorities, especially given the fact that the NHS is incredibly diverse and, broadly speaking, harmonious workforce. Yeah. It's, of all the places that needs a diversity officer, it doesn't strike me that the NHS would be one of those.
No, and Emma, as we've been relentlessly talking about strikes, I mean, I'm sick of it. I can only imagine how the British public feel. Every single day we're here talking about strikes. That is the news, so we have to do it, of course. But I can't help but feel as though maybe a little bit more attention should be paid from the staff towards the lower end of the NHS pay structure on where all of this money is going, because the NHS apparently has had, since 2010, a real terms 39% funding increase, which gets lost in all of this. Their wages, of course, nurses, paramedics, they don't feel like their wages have equated to a funding increase. And there is a bit of a black hole, a bottomless pit, and maybe they should be directing some anger, not just towards the government, but towards the overall structure of the NHS, maybe. What do you think?
Well, I would say that the nurses are not just striking over pay, they're striking over terms and conditions, and that is the structure of the NHS that they're talking about. But I would like to put this story in context. Now, I do think that any job should have KPIs, key performance indicators that you have to hit and achieve. We should be checking whether these things are bringing in value for money. But the maximum equation of how much these jobs have come to, which is put together by, I think it was the Taxpayers Alliance, comes to 0.0004% of the NHS budget. So I really do think if someone were talking to me about how to change my spending habits in my life, and they focused relentlessly on something that was 0.004% of what I was spending, I would say that they were not providing me value for money or good advice. I do think that we have to have a conversation about how we fund the NHS, how we make sure that it's efficient. I think the problem is we will get massively distracted from the conversation we need to have if we focus relentlessly on this stuff.
Just quickly, before we move on to another one of your stories, Emma, Tom, can you just respond to that a little bit? Because I think that is a fair point. Is it more just a matter of principle, do you think? It's a bit of a token, for want of a better phrase, than what we're talking about here. Maybe they could get rid of this stuff and it would show intent. What do you think?
Well, I think it just shows a level of what priority, shall we say. And there'd be different things where, for instance, in the midst of a cost of living crisis, if MPs get a pay rise or if this happens. Again, this is stopping something like that from happening is not going to solve the problem for everyone across the country. We all know that. But it just creates that kind of sense of warped priorities, as I say. Whereas I agree this problem is much more profound in relation to the NHS, but that doesn't make this any more sensible.
But if it's less than 0.001%, it's not really a priority. That's my point. We may be saying it's a priority because we're talking about it. And that may be warping a sense of the priorities, but it's clearly not a priority.
But I don't think if you're talking about the Mail or the Telegraph or any ones who tend to report on this sort of stuff, it's not as if they're averse to discussions about how to radically reform the NHS.
No, indeed, but I'm saying I would say that their coverage of these jobs is more than 0.004% of their coverage.
Well, there you go. This has livened things up a little bit on Christmas Eve. It's what we wanted to see, people. There we go. Well, we've got loads more coming up, haven't we?
Yes, and you're coming back, aren't you, in the next hour? So lots more still to come from both of you. But before you go, favourite Christmas song? We're going to put you on the spot. Tom, let's go with you first.
Sleigh Ride by TLC.
OK, do you want to sing a little bit for us?
No.
Emma?
So, overall Christmas song.
Yes.
It Doesn't Often Snow at Christmas by the Pet Shop Boys.
No,
the bit where they go, Bing Crosby. Oh, it just makes me joyous. But Slade.
Yes.
When you land upon your head, then you've been slayed is a triple pun, and you can't beat that.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, gosh, it's a bit early in the morning for me to get my head around a triple pun. I struggle at the best of times. But coming up at the top of the next hour, we've got loads coming your way. Yes, we are going to be doing all of the rail strikes. Oh, grief, I know, when will it end? But it is relevant, really, because a lot of you will be trying to get home, so we'll keep you abreast of all of that. And, yes, keep your lovely Christmas decks coming into us as well. GBViews at gbnews.uk.
Good morning, I'm Alex Deakin, and this is your latest weather forecast from the Met Office. Christmas Eve, like Christmas Day, will be pretty mild and windy. There's going to be some rain around as well, but colder conditions are on the way for Boxing Day. Here's the big picture. Low pressure in control. It's wafting in mild air, and with that milder air comes plenty of showers as well. In fact, this morning we do have some snow falling over northern Scotland, mostly over hills, but some for a time getting down to lower levels. That should tend to fizzle out through the day. And actually, for most places, it's a dry and a bright Christmas Eve. There'll be some decent spells of sunshine. The winds will strengthen later, and certainly this afternoon, some showers for Wales and Northern Ireland that could well be on the heavy side. It is going to be mild, temperatures reaching double figures across the south and even further north across Scotland, a little warmer than it was yesterday. Still feeling cold, though, in the far north with the wet and windy weather here. Getting blustery everywhere this afternoon and through this evening. Some heavy showers moving into Wales, across Scotland, northern England too, and eventually into the Midlands. So it's a showery and blustery start to Christmas Day. It won't be a cold start, and these showers will be of rain, so you're not going to wake up to anything deep and crisp and even with these kind of temperatures, 5 to 8 degrees as we start Christmas Day. It is going to be a day of showers then, with some bright or sunny spells in between. It is going to be fairly windy as well, which means the showers will move through. Quite a lot of cloud across East Anglia and the southeast, with some more persistent rain perhaps here for a time. Showers elsewhere, but not everywhere seeing the showers. Some places, northern England, northern Scotland, may actually have a largely dry day. It is going to be mild, with temperatures getting up to double figures almost across the board, 8 or 9 across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Late in the day, northerly winds set in, bring some snow showers to northwest Scotland on Christmas Day night. That cold air arrives for all of us on Boxing Day, when there could well be some more snow showers in western Scotland. Merry Christmas.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akue, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Set off early, a warning of Christmas Eve travel misery as more walkouts begin on the railways.
Well, a very good Christmas Eve morning, everybody. It is 7 o'clock and it's Saturday, the 24th of December. This is Breakfast on GB News with me, Patrick Christys, and the wonderful Ellie Costello. Here are your top stories this morning.
Well, as rail workers go on strike again, millions are making their way home for Christmas. They're being warned it could be chaos on Britain's roads.
And there'll be no last-minute deliveries either, as Royal Mail workers strike for a second consecutive day. Unions warn they won't be backing down as they fight for a better deal.
A royal milestone. King Charles III will pay tribute to his late mother in his first Christmas message to the nation tomorrow.
And a Christmas phone call. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak decides not to do the traditional message, instead calling public servants to thank them for their service.
And some of you have been getting in touch with your Christmas trees. Here's one from a viewer. Hopefully it's coming up for us now. There it is.
Aww.
Lovely.
Oh, they've got us on.
There we are.
They've got us
up
on.
On the wall. And if you're listening on the radio, it's lovely. I can see silver baubles and white ones as well.
Yes, absolutely. We love it. We love the decks that are coming in thick and fast. Thank you very much, everyone. Keep sending those in. And I believe, actually, you can see a little bit of Will Hollis there, which is just as well, because we'll be going to Will very shortly. Well,
nice segue there.
It's almost like I do this for a living, isn't it? This magic doesn't just happen, people. Right, OK. Good morning, everybody. Our top story, time to stop laughing. Get ready for more travel chaos, with families driving home for the festive period being told to brace for disruptions as further rail strikes kick in from 6 p.m.
Yes, Network Rail is advising passengers to travel today only if absolutely necessary, which isn't great if you're trying to get home to your family for Christmas. They're also saying that most people should try and complete their journeys by 3 p.m.
Well, in the latest strikes in the run-up to Christmas, Border Force staff as well as postal workers are also walking out over pay and conditions.
The Prime Minister has apologised for the Christmas travel disruption, but insists that public sector pay must be controlled.
Well, joining us now is our very own Will Hollis, our East Midlands reporter at Nottingham Railway Station. Good morning, Will. What's the latest where you are then? I mean, it's still very quiet. By the way, I used to go in and out of that train station a lot because I went to university there, so I know it well, but I was never there as early as you are, it's fair to say. Anyway, what's going on, Will?
Good morning. Yes, well, the lights may be on, but it's pretty much that nobody is home. A few trains are running in and out of Nottingham Railway Station. None of them are East Midlands Railway trains, so those are the kinds of trains that particularly go between Leicester, Nottingham, Derby, run intercity routes down to St Pancras from the East Midlands. Those are cross-country trains that are coming in right now. There's only seem to be coming in every half an hour, and when a train does arrive, it seems that a trickle of passengers seem to come off. Of course, the advice is to travel only if absolutely necessary. Pardon me. Thousands of members of the RMT union, as well as some other unions, depending on which rail operators work the trains in your part of the country, are also on strike. It does seem like lots of people have maybe already made their journeys, or they're considering other plans, but I spoke to a few people who were hoping that they'd be able to get a train today to get back to Croatia for Christmas, and it looks like their plans are going to be severely affected.
Going to Manchester Airport, well, I was supposed to take the train to Sheffield and then from Sheffield to Manchester, but yeah, there is no train, so now I have to grab an Uber. Yeah, I'm going home to Croatia for Christmas. Yeah, I'm hoping to get home by Christmas, but we'll see.
I was supposed to catch a train to Manchester to go home for Christmas, to Croatia actually, to visit our families. But unfortunately, we couldn't get a train because of the strikes, even though we bought our tickets on the website, but it turned out not being any available trains to get to.
Well, I'm a bit frustrated that the train isn't running, especially because there was no notice that it's not going to go. I thought the strike would be affected like from 6 onwards. That's at least what we saw. Well, we need to find another solution. It's probably going to be an Uber. We don't know exactly yet. We will see what we can find. And it is what it is, but I understand the situation. It definitely makes sense. It could have been planned out a bit better, so we don't get in this situation to arrive here and now ask ourselves what we're going to do.
Yes. Well, the situation here in Nottingham and the East Midlands is going to be very similar to the situation throughout the country. Of course, that advice is to only travel if absolutely necessary. And as you said there at the start, most trains are going to be terminating at 3 p.m. There'll be virtually no trains on the track. That's because they're going to be moving them away into the little train shelters where they keep trains overnight, because at 6 p.m. that strike officially starts, and then there'll be no trains right through until at least the 27th.
So, Will, that's the picture in Nottingham, speaking to people there outside the station. What's it going to look like nationally? Because if people are being told to complete their journeys by 3 p.m, if you want to visit your family, you're going to be hitting the roads, aren't you? It's going to be chaos out there.
Yes, well, the AA estimates that there's going to be 17 million people on the roads today. That's probably not as much as there would be on any usual Christmas, but a lot of people that have had to be working throughout this period in the build-up to Christmas, that dreaded period where you have to work in the build-up to Christmas, so you can't be having your mince pies and you're drinking. Those sorts of people will have to be taking cars instead. Of course, big coach companies like National Express as well have also had their number of coaches that are going to be on the roads boosted, so lots of people will be getting on coaches instead. Of course, just like those poor union university Croatian students trying to get back to Croatia via Manchester Airport. Border force strikes are going to have an effect on people that are trying to fly in and out of the country. But as we saw yesterday, the military has been involved and they've been checking people's passports. And that seems to be going quite smoothly. There are, of course, strikes on today and right through until the end of the year, except for one day on the 27th. So it seems that while you might have a lot of trouble getting to your airports, getting out of the airports themselves might not be as bad as we might think.
Well, really good to speak to you. Thank you for
hang on a minute.
all of that.
Hang on, actually.
Oh, wait, you're not done.
Are you going to sing for us yet, Will? You said you might bow out of tune at some point, or are you're still not doing that? It's just the nation expects.
I've been practicing. I've been practicing, but I'll tell you what, when the sun starts to shine on Nottingham train station, maybe then you will have a tune out of Mr. Hollis.
OK, all right, well, I'll hold you to that.
I'll
hold you to that, although I think he's just got a little get-out-of-jail card there because it looks a bit overcast. Anyway, Will, thank you very much. Will Hollis, they're fantastic stuff. As ever, just picking the way through the travel chaos.
Yes, and good luck if you are hitting the rails or the roads or the air. Today, good luck, and we hope you get to your family.
Yeah.
It'll take you some time, but we hope you get there.
I'm not looking forward to it. I've got to drive home tomorrow and then drive back again on Boxing Day morning. I can just see it going catastrophically wrong. Because the thing is, no one will believe me as well. If I ring up GB News and go, sorry, I can't do the show on Boxing Day, no one will believe me. They'll go, I've won too many the night before.
Here. Yeah. Where's home?
Cheshire. Wilmslow.
So, long way. How long would that take?
Well, it'd probably take me a cool 4 hours. But if everyone else is on the roads, then it might take me upwards of 5.
Could take you 8.
Could take me 8. Depending on whether or not I want to come in on Boxing Day, it could take me 24. We'll have to wait and see, But there we go. Anyway, right. Well, for more analysis, we're going to be speaking to political commentator Suzanne Evans because it's Strike Central. Good morning, Suzanne. Great to see you. A little bit of festivity in the background there, but sadly, no festivity on the railways or anywhere else, it would seem, at the moment, because it's strike, Suzanne.
It absolutely is. So I think we've had strikes pretty much every day this month. As you say, it's rail workers today. They're on strike until the 29th of December. It's also some bus drivers are on strike today. Highways agency workers, they're on strike until Sunday. The border force is off until Monday, although the army seem to be doing a very good job covering for them. The Royal Mail is on strike again. Driving test examiners, they're both on strike until the 7th of January. Then we've another ambulance strike on the 28th of December, and baggage handlers are on strike from the 29th of December to the 1st of January. So it's chaos out there, really.
Difficult one, isn't it, for Rishi Sunak? He says he's sad and disappointed that these strikes are threatening to disrupt Christmas. But, Suzanne, there's no end to this, is there? It looks like it's going to be set to continue into 2023.
Well, we've got a standoff, haven't we, between the unions and the government. On the one hand, we've got the government basically saying they can't capitulate to endless demands for above inflation pay rises. And, there's, I think, has to be a lot of sympathy for that view. We've got public sector net debt is now 98.7% of GDP, 2,477 billion in debt. Public sector net borrowing is the highest it's been since records began in 1993. The state is now enormous and a very expensive beast. And on the other side, we've got the unions who let's be honest, I think there are certain elements of the union who actually are not so much interested in getting decent pay rises, but they want to bring the government down. And if you look at some of the placards that we've seen on the picket line, I think there's definitely that undercurrent there. So they're holding out. And as I say, we've got this standoff. And until one party capitulates, it's going to be the general public that suffers.
Well, look, you mentioned political undertones there, Suzanne. I think initially people, especially when it comes to the medical staff, are thinking, right, bits of a pay rise. I was quite surprised up north of the border in Scotland. Members of the Royal College of Nursing rejected a 7.5%, on average, that was a 7.5% pay rise there. The lowest members of staff there would have seen an 11.5% pay rise. I just wonder if we start to see a bit more down here now, especially after people have had travel plans ruined over Christmas and this rumbles on into January and into February, whether or not, if they start turning down pay offers like 7.5%, public support might turn.
I think that's absolutely right, because most people won't be getting pay rises anything like that. And of course, I suppose we always measure our reaction to things in terms of our own experience. NHS staff in England and Wales have had a 4.75% offer. That's with a guarantee of at least an extra £1,400 for the lowest paid. So, and people who aren't getting those kind of pay rises, I think, are justifiably going to be quite angry and aggrieved. And of course, what happens, particularly with the NHS, as strikes go on, is we're going to see increasingly alarming headlines about people who have died because they haven't got an ambulance or they haven't had treatment in A&E. And that's going to be not just extremely unfortunate, obviously, but I think that might very well start to turn public opinion.
And what is so, sorry, Suzanne, what is so interesting, I think, about this is usually you'd see Labour kind of on the picket line supporting striking workers, but Keir Starmer in all of this is actually agreeing somewhat that these pay rises, such as those 90% that the nurses are asking for, is unaffordable. He's saying they need to get around the table, but those kind of figures just cannot be matched. So we are looking at a stalemate, aren't we, where even Labour is saying, this isn't going to be agreed on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Keir Starmer's response has been quite extraordinary in terms of the history of the Labour Party and the unions. But of course, Keir Starmer hasn't been quite so union positive, let's say, as some other previous leaders of the Labour Party or some potential other contenders when they've had leadership contests in the past. So I think his comments are very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Suzanne, we have got to keep it moving a little bit, but we just have time to ask you a question we're asking pretty much all of our guests today. What is your favourite Christmas song?
Oh, my favourite Christmas song. Oh, my goodness, I tell you what I don't like, and that's Frosty the Snowman. That drives me absolutely nuts. But I shouldn't be so down, should I? So I have to say, I think my favourite Christmas songs are actually some of the great Christmas carols. So things like Hark the Herald Angels Sing and O Come All Ye Faithful. And I think of those two, it's got to be O Come All Ye Faithful, because I'm a soprano and it's got the better descant.
Oh, she's made a massive mistake here now. Made a massive mistake here now.
Into that one.
You've actually mentioned that you are a soprano and that you'd be good at singing it. Is there any chance we can just get a teeny little rendition?
Well, I've got a terrible cold.
You sounded all right before, Suzanne. Okay.
Have I got to sing O Come All Ye Faithful?
Just a little bit.
Little line for us, a little taster.
Oh, my goodness. O come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant, O come ye to Bethlehem.
Yeah! Well done. Fantastic.
Suzanne, you're a great sport.
You are.
Brilliant.
Sorry about making you do that on national telly, Suzanne.
No, you sound fabulous. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Really?
Fantastic. Oh, I can't believe she said yes to that. Will Hollis, you watching, mate?
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
Shame.
Yeah? There you go. All right, OK, well, we've got loads more coming. Let's bring you up to date.
The number of people to die from the blistering cold weather in the US has risen to 13. 4 people have been confirmed dead and many others injured in a massive car crash caused by extreme ice on the Ohio Turnpike in Erie County. Temperatures plunged as low as minus 45 degrees in some areas. The storm is forecast to develop into what's being described as a bomb cyclone, bringing with it heavy, blinding snow.
I mean, that looks absolutely catastrophic, doesn't it? Anyway, the US Congress has passed a £37 billion emergency aid bill for Ukraine. The record military funding follows President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington on Wednesday, his first foreign trip since the start of Russia's invasion. The bill, which passed only hours before the midnight deadline, was hotly contested, especially by Conservative Republicans, who raised concerns about the level of US support for Ukraine.
A woman and 2 men have been killed and several others injured after a gunman opened fire at a Kurdish community centre in Paris. Protesters clashed with police near to where the incident took place. The French president called the incident a heinous attack on the Kurdish community. A 69-year-old man who was already known to police has been detained.
And the NHS is warning parents about the risks of swallowing toy parts as more and more children are going to hospital over it. Apparently, the number of children admitted to hospital having consumed a small object has doubled over the past 10 years to almost 230. Doctors are mainly worried about penny-sized batteries. that make up part of several household items like festive lights and TV remotes. Go on.
More than 32 pubs in England and Wales have closed each month this year as rising costs have forced businesses to shut. The property group Altus says the overall number of pubs has gone down by almost 400 as pubs grapple with soaring energy costs, rising food prices and a decreasing demand. Now, we've been asking you to send in pictures of your Christmas trees today because we were quite proud of ours behind us, weren't we? We've got special GB News baubles, the Union Jack baubles behind us. We were quite proud. But then you've been in touch and put us all to shame. So we're going to share Linda's tree with you now.
Let's have a look at Linda.
This is... Oh, I can't even see. Oh, this is her fireplace. I see. So a nice festive garland
and a
going
cat
over the fireplace. And a cat. And are those two little
I like
elves
them.
there?
Now, I think they're like little mini Santas. And Linda, I won't reveal your secret, but I think I know where you got them from because my mum's got them.
I'm surprised you don't.
They're wonderful. Well, I've got everything else. There isn't room in my pokey little flat, but that's a lovely Christmas hearth. Well done, Linda.
Yes. Thank you very much for that, Linda. And this might be our favourite. I think Patrick's given this a solid 10 out of 10.
That.
This is from Leon in Whitehaven. Great part of the world.
There are... I mean, Leon, yeah, my producer's asking me, do you live in Buckingham Palace? I mean, this is unbelievable.
It is palatial. If you are listening on the radio right now, it's lovely kind of a patterned carpet here and lots of gold furniture. Looks like the Palace of Versailles.
It does.
An amazing Christmas tree all
Chandelier.
the way up the ceiling. Chandelier, forgot that, yeah.
I wonder whether or not Leon's stitching us up here. Is that the background for the Queen's final speech? You know, the last one?
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder. There was a year when she had a gold piano behind her and people kicked off about it. I remember thinking, well, she is the Queen, you know?
Well, that is true, yes.
Yeah.
I wonder what King Charles will have as his backdrop. But I wouldn't be surprised if it looks something like that.
Exactly like that. Well done, Leon.
Very good. So keep them coming in. We're going to rank them, aren't we?
We are.
And actually, Patrick, I was doing some research for you. Do you know where Christmas trees come from?
Well, I'm going to say Norway, but I don't know.
Wrong.
Oh, cool. OK.
Came from Germany, where Prince Albert was born, introduced to England during the Georgian period when King George III was on the throne. But you are right, Norway gifts us a tree, don't they, every year?
So Christmas trees aren't an ancient tradition, then?
No.
I suppose, why would they be? I mean, you don't...
1790s.
I don't imagine there were many fir trees in Bethlehem, to be fair. So there you go.
Well, there you go, 1790s, but... Yeah, it's still going strong.
Do you remember when Norway mugged us off last year and we had a terrible Christmas tree in Trafalgar Square? Anyone else remember that?
Yeah, that was a bit depressing.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know if we've got a photo of that, but it did look a little bit dishevelled. We'll share that with you a little bit later.
Let me after a night out. OK, we're moving on, people. We're moving on because the government is set to rely on the military to cover striking workers this festive period.
Yes, December has seen 10 different sectors go on strike, from rail workers to driving instructors. Senior military officials told The Telegraph that it's not right for the army to be asked to give up their Christmas over these disputes.
Well, indeed. Well, to go into this, we're joined now by Major General Chip Chapman. Happy nearly Christmas to you, Major General Chip Chapman. So let's get to the matter in hand, shall we? It is now upon us. The military are filling in left, right and centre. I'm sorry, but I think if anyone deserves a Christmas, surely it's our brave military heroes.
Well, there's two parts to that. There's something like 6,500 military deployed overseas at the moment. And Rishi Sunak visited some of them in Estonia last week. So there are defence outputs which continue all the time. The second one, in terms of the military aid to the civil authorities, is that although it might not be deemed to be fair by certain senior military leaders, and they were sort of slapped in their box by Rees-Mogg, it is a matter of stated policy and commitment. So if the government tells you to do something, you crack on and do it. And of course, the military, as we saw yesterday on day one at the border force, have this will do, can do attitude and are adaptable to these situations, which is why it seemed to go so well yesterday. The real thing for the military is, will this really affect morale? And you will see people potentially signing off in the future. To an extent, that was ameliorated yesterday by the Defence Secretary saying that they're going to get a £20 a day net bonus for every day that they've either been training or are committed to these operations, either at the airports or in the ambulances over the Christmas period.
I was with some British soldiers last week, and they were talking about some of them being on as little as £22,000 a year, but they're not allowed to strike as they're obviously serving soldiers in the British Army. How do you think some of them feel going to stand in for people who are on salaries sometimes double theirs?
Well, the use of that sort of comparator of pay is, of course, at the lowest level. That is a sort of private soldier, but a lance corporal, for example, would be on 27.3k. So, the army and the armed forces are a hierarchy. So, for example, a sergeant, there'll be lots of them out there on 35.8k. So, as I said, if people are disgruntled by this, they always say in the armed forces that you're only 7 clicks away from resigning. Get on your computer and you just leave in the required time if you don't like the commitments that the army give you. But of course, when you sign up to the armed forces, you give up some rights and responsibilities, and it's our job ultimately to serve the duly elected government of the day of whatever hue and to be apolitical.
Well, that's it, isn't it? And it's difficult, and to that extent, your hands are tied, for want of a better phrase, but rightly so in a way. The military, of course, got to be apolitical, got to be there to serve, got to be there in a time of crisis. Look, I've got to ask you, you know what's coming, surely. What's your favourite Christmas song?
Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues, but I sing more like McGowan rather than Kirsty McCall, so don't even go there.
Oh, there he is. He's nipped it in the bud straight away. A military man, not messing around. Major General Chapman, thank you very, very much, and have a wonderful Christmas.
Thank you, Patrick.
All right.
You two have got a lot in common then. You should maybe do karaoke together.
Well, that's where it at. I mean, what actually you say is, you know, what we've got all in common. I mean, he's a man who's obviously hard as nails, has served this country with dignity, and no, you're right, we've got nothing in common apart.
You serve GBNews viewers every day.
Yeah.
You practically live here now.
I do. I sleep under this desk. Right, we've got loads coming up. So, more on the show, including the latest sport with friend of the show, friend of the channel. It's Housewife's favourite, Aidan McGee. Don't go anywhere.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akue, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back, wonderful people. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with me, Patrick, and Ellie.
And we can now be joined by Aidan McGee to talk us through the weekend's biggest sports stories. Good morning, Drayton.
Morning, how are you? Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry
Christmas.
Have you finished your shopping first?
Yeah, I've done my shopping. Now, it's a big thing for me because I put up decorations for the first time this year in 12 years because I had my dad at home for many years and it wasn't very good because he had there was a trip hazard and he didn't really know what was going on anyway. But so I went big this time and I put a big Christmas tree up. I went to the garden centre down in Maidstone and bought loads and loads of stuff. More. I mean, I suppose you can reuse it next year, can't you? If I decide to buy into the Christmas spirit for a second year running.
You've not got a fake tree?
No, it's a real tree.
Oh, good.
In fact, it's being watered this morning, actually, because you have to water it every, 3 days or something.
Oh, right.
To keep it alive, otherwise that's when your needles start falling off.
What, you bought like a Christmas orchid?
No, it's not. No, it's a big old tree though. So I fit it. I mean, I saw a space where it could go maybe a month ago.
You had a vision.
I had a vision. Yeah, I did. Premonition, maybe you could call it. And I just what?
No, I'm with you.
So I took out the plant that I'd bought earlier in the year, I put it into the guest room. That was a big move in itself.
Yeah.
And then I put the Christmas tree in the corner. I've decorated it really, really nicely. I bought one of these snowman that just light up. I think we should have a picture in a few moments, actually. But there's a snowman in the corner that lights up. All sorts of other little, bits and pieces that have really brought the Christmas mood to the McGee household. And I'm hosting tomorrow night for Christmas night. I've prepared my Christmas menu as well. Arancini. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't play up.
Sorry.
Oh, here we go.
We've got Aidan's tree. This is Aidan's boudoir, right?
No, it's my lounge.
Patrick.
Is it? No, I just thought every room in your house was a boudoir.
It's a bedroom.
No, so they've got some Quality Street there. So that shows how selfless I am. So I can't really eat those because I'm type 1 diabetic. So that's for the guests. The tree in the corner, and then we've got, I don't know what that is there. That's my back garden by the looks of it.
Well, there you go.
So I've got a festive menu: arancini, ham and cheese. Tomato chutney, vol au vents, and.
We're going 70s.
Yeah, and arancini, ham and cheese croquettes, arancini, vol au vents, tomato chutney, Terry's chocolate orange, and a special cocktail prepared by me called Berries Royale.
Really?
Yeah, I prepared it 2 days ago, tried it out, and goodness me, it tastes fantastic.
So my invite's been lost in the post to take it.
That sounds great, though. Nibbles sound very good, Aidan. We're very impressed.
Yeah, I'm going to write out the menu and everything and hand it to the family.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many have you got coming round?
I've got 6. There's going to be 7 of us in total. But I'm up early. I've worked 21 Christmas days in a row. So I'm working tomorrow morning. I'm also working Boxing Day. So I've said you've got a 3-hour window. Eat as much as you want. You've got to be out.
Yeah, and you've done the prep.
I've done the prep, yeah. Well, it's only 11 minutes in the microwave, in the oven, yes.
Right, OK, yeah, I see. You strike me as the kind of guy who would make your family pay for the food, like...
my brother once charged us to go to his barbecue in about 2005. Seriously. He charged us a £5. He said, you either pay a £5 or you bring your own meat.
Really?
I didn't go.
Just didn't go. Didn't go.
Yeah.
I bet you that'll be happening a lot this year, though, with cost of living.
Yeah, probably. Charging to go to Christmas? Yeah, maybe.
Right, I'm being shouted at. We've got to do some actual...
Sorry, yeah.
The reason why you're here.
Look, very sad news yesterday with the death of George Cohen, the former England World Cup winner from 1966. Played 459 games for Fulham, played for England 37 times between 1964 and 1967. I knew George Cohen. He was the first man I really dealt with when, as a young reporter, ringing someone up, asking for a favour, give us a quote on something. He always picked up his phone and he always helped me. He did not know me from Adam, but he just he got to know me after a while. And this is somebody he was a modern fullback, Patrick. He was somebody who... Alf Ramsey's side didn't play with wingers, so your width had to come from somewhere. He had to be uber fit. George Best said he was the best right-back he'd ever played against. So 37 caps. He carried himself with complete dignity at all times. He had a restaurant named after him at Fulham. He was going to games until very, very recently. He's survived by his wife, Daphne. Now, this is interesting because remember when Sven Göran Eriksson, all the wags were running amok at the England camp at the World Cup. And the Sun rang me up and said, Aidan, get on to one of the World Cup winners and say, to get them to pass their opinion on the wags. So I rang George Cohen and he said, well, look, why don't you... My wife was a wag in 1966. Why don't you speak to Daphne? And so he handed the phone to Daphne. And Daphne gave me this quote, I think it's awful, Sven Göran Eriksson's letting this lot run amok around Baden-Baden. It was great. Back page of the Sun, 3 days pay for me. Great.
Good. Well done.
So it was good. No, but very, very sad. It means we've only got 2 players left from the starting 11 from 1966. And so he was 83, as I say. But, yeah, I mean, you used to see him around at games all the time, especially at Fulham. He's a hugely respected guy. He retired to Kent as well. Don't forget his nephew, Ben Cohen, was a World Cup winner in rugby in 2003.
Is that who his nephew is?
That is his nephew.
Yeah, gosh, some sporting pedigree in that family.
Wow.
So terrific guy.
Though.
What a life and what a loss as well, because we're down to 2 now. We've lost a lot in the last sort of 5, 6 years. We've only got Bobby Charlton left and Jeff Hurst, of course, who scored the hat-trick.
Yes, absolutely. Right, what else have we got, Aidan?
Well, look, I mean, we've had the Premier League restarts. We've got a whole list of games on Boxing Day. I've got them in front of me. I've taken the trouble of printing them off for you. Brentford, Tottenham at 12:30. I know, that was Jack, actually, this is the floor manager. Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa's interesting because their manager, Unai Emery, has said he's going to speak to his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, because he's the guy who saved the penalties last week for Argentina. There's a feeling he's got a bit over the top with his celebrations, and he put the golden glove in an opportune part of his body.
Yes.
And so he's going to have a speech. He's going to have a word for him. Also, Pep Guardiola's not happy. Calvin Phillips has returned back from the World Cup unfit, overweight. And so, yeah, we've got the picture there, haven't we? That's not Calvin Phillips. That's a better celebration of his glove. I think with the glove, that's the one before that was the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, just getting back to Calvin Phillips, Pep Guardiola, the Man City manager, complained he's come back from England camp overweight.
Well, he's fat-shamed him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's been fat-shamed.
To be fair, he's played 54 minutes since the start of the season, so he probably shouldn't have gone to the World Cup anyway, although he did play for England against Wales and Senegal.
Yeah.
But Aidan, how are they going to be feeling, those that were in Qatar? 'Cause they haven't had a lot of a break now, have they? They're straight back into.
It's an endurance test. It's an endurance test. We had it with COVID 2 years ago. They're just going to have to suck it up because the managers should have been. When this decision was made 12 years ago, no one thought about this. Now there's obviously been a memo gone around to all the managers to say, don't kick off about it. Don't try and brush it under the carpet if you can, because it's our tournament. It's the World Cup. Because normally they moan if they play 3 games in seven days. Man City have got 8 games in just over 3 weeks. Now, they've got the squad to deal with it. Having said that, why aren't the managers moaning about it more?
Yeah.
Because something's been said, because normally they moan at the slightest thing, and yet they seem to be happy to suck up the fact that players are coming back overweight from these tournaments,
Yeah,
so
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. Now, as I say, it's a real, excuse me, it's a real endurance test. And so some would say that's just what we have to put up with for this one season alone, and things will start to settle back down next season. But it's going to have repercussions because, some players who didn't go to the World Cup may feel fresher. You're going to see changes in form compared to the dynamics that were in existence before the World Cup. And that, I suppose, just feeds into the narrative. It might make it more fun.
I just feel sorry for Calvin Phillips, by the way, because when he's talking about him being overweight, we're probably talking about 2 pounds or something, aren't we? It's not like he's...
Their weight... People don't realise how finely tuned these athletes are.
Like yourself. Talking of finely tuned athletes, I can see the word darts in front of me here.
Yeah.
Should we have a quick word on darts?
Yeah. Well, as I say, it's at the Ali Pali. It has been now since 2007. I was talking to one of the producers backstage, and real darts fan. 128 players in this tournament this year. It's gone up from I think it was about 90 in 2019, and that was extended. Now, it's diluted the quality. You get a lot of whitewashes in the first few rounds of matches. I remember the very, very early stages of darts 20 years ago. Can you imagine me when I was in my early 20s? on Boxing Day, I'd be at the Circus. I was at the Circus Tavern in Purfleet, laptop, Boxer Quality Street, pre-diabetes days, notepad, and we used to try and get it in the paper to try and boost the coverage that it used to get, because it was on its knees. It really was. And now it's a big event. And we saw a few matches. It doesn't resume now until the 27th. They have like a hiatus around Christmas. It gets going, the World Championships, the PDC World Championships before Christmas. Then they break for 3 or 4 days, and then it resumes again on the 27th. But Joe Cullen, Johnny Clayton, Rob Cross, all through. Peter Wright, who won the tournament the last couple of years, he's also still in the tournament as well. So it all picks up after Christmas. But yeah, there's just a feeling that maybe it's diluted slightly. My concern when they moved from the Circus Tavern to the Ali Pali back in 2007, I joined the News of the World that year, so I wasn't actually there having done all that work for them,
See the fruits
of our labour.
You are darts in a way.
Well, kind of, yeah. I was back then. Anyway, so when it moved, I was worried that how they'd go from an 800 arena to 6,000. And when I went as a fan, they achieved it, because my concern was that they would lose the pub atmosphere, and they didn't. But if you're going to go down that road, all those success all down the years, but dilute the competition by just letting anybody come in. There was a Ukrainian bloke who clearly wasn't up to standard,
right?
And he got whitewashed.
It's not a charity, is it?
Well, that's what I mean. I know people say we're only throwing darts, but having said that, if you can get to go, do go. It's fantastic.
It looks
so good. North East London, in the middle of nowhere. Public transport is rubbish, but if you go, it's well worth going.
But a good day out.
Good, a whole day. You can do an afternoon session, an evening session. You never need to go to sleep.
Do.
Exactly, yeah.
So a lot of people do, yes.
People dress up as well, don't they?
Oh, massively, yeah. I sometimes used to. You remember the cards?
Yeah.
Well, now they actually govern what you can. They're quite efficient over what you write on it. Now, you used to see some horrific stuff back in the days. I mean, horrific in a comedy way. I mean, Alan Pardew was the West Ham manager at the time. I mean, about 500 people one day just the West Ham fans holding up placards saying Pardew out. It was nothing to do with darts.
All right, Aidan, will you be joining us again later?
Oh, of course I will. You can't get rid of me.
Fantastic.
Lots more to come.
I'll go through a bit more of my festive menu if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, shame you didn't bring it in. Right, more to come, including the latest headlines in today's papers. We'll be looking at that with editor of Spike, Tom Slater, and political commentator, Emma Burnell.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prisons? I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, We're
on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Patrick and Ellie. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
To you, even though it's not until tomorrow, but we're celebrating early. We're going to be sharing some Christmas trees with you. We've been asking you all morning to send in your Christmas trees, your Christmas decorations, and I think we can share Eric's Christmas tree with you now. Oh, this is his temporary Christmas tree, we're being told. It looks like a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah.
In a vase.
It's nice, I like the bear. I mean, it's a minimalistic approach to Christmas, Eric, but it's a good one nonetheless. I must say, very clean kitchen work surfaces, which has rather unfortunately reminded me that I need to go and do the washing up.
Yeah, got a lot to do, haven't you, Patrick?
A lot to do, a lot. Anyway, Danielle's been on, I believe. By the way, you could... That's
wow.
It's a good tree, solid tree.
So if you're listening on the radio, this is a tiered Christmas tree, I think we can say. Lots of tinsel. Lots of colour as well.
Yeah,
good
well
effort there, Danielle. We like that. And Mick, this is one of my favourites, has sent us this lovely video of a very special Christmas tree on Twitter. Let's share this now. Here it comes.
Right.
Amazing. It's a dancing Christmas cactus.
A dancing Christmas playing the saxophone. Playing the saxophone and what can only be described as gyrating. It's a family show, this, Mick, OK? It's a family show. It's 7:40 in the morning. This is smut. And there's a winter backdrop as well on the TV. It's gone all out.
It's amazing.
Well done.
That noise would drive you bonkers, though, wouldn't it?
I'd be playing that on repeat,
Yeah,
actually,
you would.
constantly. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. You can get your Christmas trees coming in. GBViews are gbnews.uk. You know the drill by now, ladies and gents. Let's see if we can crown someone with the best. Oh, by the way, Leon sent in one before we sit at Buckingham Palace. Apparently it's Whitehaven Hall, so he actually is royalty.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go.
I'm glad you worked that one out. Has he just emailed you?
He just emailed me,
nice.
Me and Leon.
Leon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearing up any.
Yeah, I saw the side of his house and I thought, I'm latching onto you, Leon. Right, OK, let's take a look at today's front pages, shall we? The Times leads with Rishi Sunak's plans to lure early retirees back into work, with the headline, over 50s encouraged to end early retirement.
The Telegraph leads with the rise in defence spending, with an estimated £1 billion extra needed for the Ministry of Defence to avoid real-term cuts over the next 2 years.
The Guardian, a stay on the topic of strikes and how unions are reportedly accusing ministers of causing festive travel chaos.
The Daily Mail takes a different angle on strikes, claiming that the NHS are wasting millions on woke non-jobs as frontline workers strike for better pay.
There we go. And finally, we've got the Mirror. They are leading with what we can expect from Charles's first Christmas speech as king, with the headline, always close to Mama. Oh.
I think it will be sad tomorrow, actually, when he does his King's speech. I think it will be... People will realise, I think, for the first time that we don't have Her Majesty with us any longer.
Oh, I know.
Very, very sad. Right, time to go through the papers now. And joining us this morning is the editor of Spiked, Tom Slater, and journalist and playwright Emma Burnell. Good morning to you both. Emma, should we start with you, shall we? The front of the Times looking at retirement. Over 50s are encouraged to end retirement and get back to work.
Yeah, this is classic government announcement-itis in many ways. The thing is, people who have retired have done so because they've done their finances and they've worked out that they can afford to. They've chosen a different lifestyle. It is quite difficult to tempt someone back from that different lifestyle. But also, we keep saying over 50s as if this is one lump group between 50 and the standard retirement age. And actually, if you're 50, you might have 15 years ahead of you. You can retrain, have your CV zhuzhed, as Rishi Sunak's talking about, maybe go in to learn a new skill and stuff. If you're 60 to 62, 63, you are not going to do that. And actually, the working options for you are considerably narrowed. And I think it's really important that when we lump everyone together like this, that we don't make that mistake, because an offer for someone of 51, 52 who's gone for early retirement will be completely different from someone in that age group.
Yeah, Tom, I'll bring you in on this. I mean, he's desperately just trying to tax more people.
Yeah, I mean, there is a kind of underlying striking problem here, which is the amount of people who are kind of economically inactive who could probably work. And that's not just about squeezing the pips out of people. It's very important that people have something to do with their time. It gives them a sense of purpose in life and so on. I'm not entirely sure the problem is necessarily all people who took early retirement, though. This is quite a deep and profound problem, which was also really exacerbated by the pandemic and the lockdowns and so on. A lot of people just went off the map from the workforce and never really came back. But yeah, it does. When you're talking about things in such broad brushstrokes, as Emma was saying, it doesn't necessarily get the full complexity of the matter, I guess.
No, and you said that people who have their finances in order will be able to retire. I will clearly never retire.
No, me and you both, Patrick.
Pipe dream. I will die in this chair. I will. Tom, right, over to you now in the Times.
Yes, so
Again?
Story here about British volunteers out in Ukraine and how they'll be spending their Christmas. So one of which is Chris Garrett. He's a former tree surgeon, and he's going to be spending his time diffusing explosives, essentially, so anti-tank mines and missiles and things, and driving them around, as well as delivering a lot of humanitarian aid. Chris, who in this particular story is a self-funded volunteer, he's not working with the military directly, he's just gone out there on his own steam. And it is just a reminder of that amazing sort of internationalism, real internationalism, not sharing a few hashtags and having a second home in the south of France, as some people would have, but genuinely putting your lives on the line for another nation's cause. It is really inspiring.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's not our war, but to go over and do that for another country, I mean, especially at this time of year, I mean, it really is incredible. It's cold as well, isn't it, in Ukraine? So like minus 15 or something.
No, I think the British solidarity with Ukraine has been something that left, right, Labour, Conservative, whatever you are, you can be really, really proud of. I will be spending Christmas with the Ukrainian mother and son who are living with my parents at the moment. I haven't met them yet, they've only just arrived. And I think that, again, that's an exemplar of the fact that we've all pulled together. This isn't partisan. It's something that I think we're all really quite proud of and can come together over. And that sense of as Tom says, international solidarity and a real understanding that this war may not be our war, but it matters to us.
And I think there's something quite British, isn't there, about, you know, the Second World War and the Blitz and coming together and standing strong. And that's what we're seeing now with the Ukrainians. I think there's something quite British about the way that we're responding to that. Emma, should we look at train fares, shall we? Because not only are trains not running, but they're also getting more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if you live outside of London, you may well have asked what difference the train strikes actually made, because the odds of getting a train seem to be reducing on a daily basis. And so the response of the train companies is to put fares up by nearly 6%. That makes sense to me. So there is a real sense that people who have discovered that working from home is considerably easier, that we live in a much more digitally connected world, they're not going to be getting on these trains anymore. And we need a certain amount of interconnectivity. We are very bad, for example, in this country at travelling east to west rather than just north to south. But we need a sense that that is going to be affordable for people, and I just don't see that coming anytime soon.
No, not at all. I mean, it does see... I mean, I occasionally... Well, I'm driving back up, of course, up north tomorrow.
You can't get a train, can you?
Can't get a train, no. But actually, to be fair, can't get a train a lot of the time anyway. I mean, I don't want to name names, but Avanti West Coast. Absolutely shocking. And some people will be wondering what on earth we're even paying for.
Well, I think that's exactly it. I think this is partly behind the surprising level, or what, you know, historically is quite surprisingly high level of public support for the strikes as well, is because of the fact that people recognise that, given the state of the railways, given the fact that you were still having these companies extracting profits during the pandemic, no one's really blaming the train guard or the driver for that problem. You know, it's quite clear that there's a really stark issue here, and as Emma was saying, many people will struggle to see the difference from one strike day to just another supposedly day of normal service, you know.
Are we off to Qatar now, Tom, in the Telegraph?
Yes,
right?
So this is the ongoing story of EU corruption, which has been really striking. I mean, the scale of what we were talking about here. Eva Kaili, who's the 44-year-old former one of the vice presidents of the European Parliament, part of this operation, essentially, and lobbying on behalf of Qatar, where they found almost €1 billion worth of cash in these various Eurocrats' homes. So really quite striking, such a kind of almost crude corruption scandal by any kind of measure. I'm just always quite struck by, with some honourable exceptions, how little coverage this story has sort of generated. It hasn't really cut through, and I think it is a bit of a reminder that people don't pay that much attention to the European Union, not least because it is ultimately something which doesn't have that kind of extra level of scrutiny and democratic accountability that a genuine democratic system does. And also, I think it's because of the fact that the EU is so anti-democratic, you do have a bit more room for these lobby groups to operate. That's certainly something that researchers noticed over the years. So, yeah, a really striking story. It really gets to the heart of a lot of the fundamental problems within the European Union, but also the lack of interest, even from media which claims to be very European, I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, actually. I must say I was quite startled by it. And like you said as well, I like your turn of phrase about how crude it was. Just bags of cash.
It's like something out of a cartoon, you know.
Yeah.
The men show up with the silver briefcases and then, you know, leave. But there we go.
And mostly under the radar as well. No, really good point. Emma, something completely different in The Sun. This is We Hate White Christmas by Wham so much that we're trying to ban it.
Yeah, a couple are apparently trying to buy the rights to White Christmas so that they can stop it ever being played again on the radio. Now... this strikes me as the kind of anti-free speech that the GB News should be campaigning against. The slightly more serious point, White Christmas was released the same year as Do They Know It's Christmas by Band Aid, and the band have, in perpetuity, donated their royalties to anti-famine charities. That still happens to this day, as far as I know. So actually, if you stop it being played on the radio, you're robbing charity at Christmas.
Yeah.
It's almost like they haven't thought it through, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah, they haven't bothered to look into it. Who's Christmas #1 this year? Lad Baby or something?
Again.
Honestly, Christmas #1, any #1, I'm 47. This is well out of my comfort zone.
No, but it's just... I mean, like, I haven't listened to it, but I'm now remarkably at the age where I'm listening to Smooth FM.
When did that happen?
That happened. I'm about 3 months into Smooth FM.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's a new transition for you.
Yeah, it is. I am indeed transitioning. Tom, Just says turkey here.
Yeah, it's a really big one, Patrick. A very expensive one. So someone's found a giant turkey in a Morrison's.
Wow.
£136 price tag for this £15 turkey. And they've obviously sent some sort of junior trainee reporters on Skyscanner and found out that you can get a flight to Turkey for less money than that.
Then you
So
can buy a turkey.
Exactly.
Well, there you go.
I'm not sure they've got a lot
And
of
how many
them,
people does that feed, Tom? Do we know?
So apparently it's big enough to feed 12 people.
Not even that
That's
many.
not so bad then,
bring it
per
around my
head.
house, I'll
Per
do.
head, that's not that expensive then.
Oh, see, I think that needs to feed about 50 people.
I mean, frankly, if you've given me that much turkey, then
Yeah.
the
You'd be
freezer's
happy
going to die.
But you'd have to cut it up before you put it in your freezer, I think. But, I mean, just buy a chicken.
Well, yeah. When it was just me and my ex, we used to do a duck. It was lovely. It was perfect. Yeah.
What happened to the Christmas goose? I feel like this is...
Have you ever tried to cook a goose?
Oh, well, there you go. Keep it light.
The fat spilling over ruined my grandmother's floor once. That's why you don't cook a goose anymore.
What, a goose?
Yeah.
Oh, no. So what were we all having? Were we all having turkey?
Turkey.
Turkey?
Turkey.
Every meat under the sun cooked by my amazing brother-in-law, and then the Christmas cake, boozy chocolate Christmas cake made by yours truly.
Well, that sounds lovely. Might need the recipe for
What
that.
about you?
I'm having beef.
Beef.
I know, I'm breaking tradition.
I'm also having beef.
Are you? Oh,
I am.
my God.
There you go,
Do
you
you
see.
like turkey?
Rib of beef. I like turkey. I prefer beef.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I
Yeah.
find turkey a bit dry.
Yeah.
I'll be
It
honest.
can be. You've got to flip it up, so cook it like breast down.
Yeah.
I think that's the tactic.
And lots of basting.
And lots of
Yeah.
basting. Well, I do think if turkey was that good, would we not eat it all year round?
Yes, exactly. This is the thing, isn't
a
it? And they're also
reason.
funny-looking things. Anyway.
So funny looking.
Yeah, they are. They are. I'll say it. I said what I said.
Yeah, and do you know what? They're quite scary.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Right, well, thank you very much for bringing us all of the latest headlines. A variety of stories there, from the serious over down to turkeys. So thank you very much.
And you will be back, won't you?
We will,
Good.
indeed.
Lots more fun.
More highbrow stuff in the next hour.
Yes, lots more highbrow stuff now, actually, Patrick. We're going to continue looking at your trees and your views as well. So let's have a look at Susan's. This is Susan's tree that she sent in for. Oh, well,
Good
this
tree,
is
Susan.
wonderful.
Good
so,
tree.
just to describe this for you, it's a massive tree with lots of crackers, it looks like, in between the branches and red bows. I like your style, Susan. Very nice.
Yeah, well
Very
done,
different.
Susan. It's lovely that. And also, as well, surround sound in your house. Didn't go unnoticed. There's a speaker next to that tree. Yes, now this is a good one. This is a contender. Who's this? Ron, fantastic Christmas house, Ron. Massive tree, yet again. Not sure if it's real or fake. Points deducted if it is fake, Ron, I'm just going to say. We've got Ellie and I on the telly, so point back to you. And an ensemble of different Christmas animals, mostly deer, reindeer.
Reindeer on the mantelpiece, a bit like you, Patrick, taking after your
Yes.
styling in your flat.
Absolutely.
I believe we've got Kim's tree coming along. Here she is. Oh, this is wonderful. So this is a white Christmas tree.
Well, someone in the sun wants to ban it, apparently. Banning white Christmases.
White Christmas, yeah.
But, yes, also got my little Santa gnome, the same as me.
Santa Gnome, that's
Now,
what it is.
again, I won't reveal our secrets, but I know where you shop, Kim. I know where you shop.
And Patrick knows because he's shopped everywhere.
I went everywhere. Very organised tree, that. Very organised tree. Well done,
we
people.
like your style, Kim.
Well, we've got some views, just a couple of views. Mandy's been on, just wishing us all a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Mandy. Merry Christmas to you as well. And the Fordhams. This is a family. Actually, I won't, because that would reveal their email address, but they've got a family email address, which I think is lovely. Anyway, morning, Ellie and Patrick. Have a merry Christmas and a healthy and happy New Year to all at GB News. Right back at you, the Fordhams.
Nice. I think we've got time for one more. This is from Carol, who says, the 6 a.m. national anthem always stirs my positivity in the midst of all this doom and gloom, but the joys of Patrick and Ellie so early in the morning makes me smile. Happy Christmas to everyone at GB News. Thank you very much, Carol, and Merry Christmas to you too.
Well, there's loads coming your way. Yes, a bit of a mixture of light and shade. Unfortunately, some of that shade is that we'll be looking at the violence that ensued yesterday in Paris after 3 Kurdish people were shot in the city. All of that comes your way after the break.
Good morning, I'm Alex Deakin, and this is your latest weather forecast from the Met Office. Christmas Eve, like Christmas Day, will be pretty mild and windy. There's going to be some rain around as well, but colder conditions are on the way for Boxing Day. Here's the big picture. Low pressure in control. It's wafting in mild air, and with that milder air comes
plenty of showers as well. In fact, this morning we do have some snow falling over northern Scotland, mostly over hills, but some for a time getting down to lower levels. That should tend to fizzle out through the day. And actually, for most places, it's a dry and a bright Christmas Eve. There'll be some decent spells of sunshine. The winds will strengthen later, and certainly this afternoon, some showers for Wales and Northern Ireland that could well be on the heavy side. It is going to be mild, temperatures reaching double figures across the south and even further north across Scotland, a little warmer than it was yesterday. Still feeling cold, though, in the far north with the wet and windy weather here. Getting blustery everywhere this afternoon and through this evening. Some heavy showers moving into Wales, across Scotland, northern England too, and eventually into the Midlands. So it's a showery and blustery start to Christmas Day. It won't be a cold start, and these showers will be of rain, so you're not going to wake up to anything deep and crisp and even with these kind of temperatures, 5 to 8 degrees as we start Christmas Day. It is going to be a day of showers then, with some bright or sunny spells in between. It is going to be fairly windy as well, which means the showers will move through. Quite a lot of cloud across East Anglia and the southeast, with some more persistent rain perhaps here for a time. Showers elsewhere, but not everywhere seeing the showers. Some places, northern England, northern Scotland, may actually have a largely dry day. It is going to be mild, with temperatures getting up to double figures almost across the board, 8 or 9 across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Late in the day, northerly winds set in, bring some snow showers to northwest Scotland on Christmas Day night. That cold air arrives for all of us on Boxing Day, when there could well be some more snow showers in western Scotland. Merry Christmas.
I'm Michael Portillo. Join me on GB News on a Sunday morning for topical discussion, debate, arts and culture, and sometimes even some ethical dilemmas.
I don't always agree with you, Michael.
Michael Portillo, Sundays on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store.
You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
The guy went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions.
I have no time for cultural totalitarianism.
We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Well, set off early, everybody. That's a warning of Christmas Eve travel misery as more walkouts begin on the railways.
Good morning, it's 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve, Saturday the 24th of December. This is Breakfast on GB News with Patrick Christys and Ellie Costello. Here are your top stories this morning.
Right, well, rail workers, they go on strike again, don't they? Millions making their way home for Christmas are warned that it could be chaos on Britain's roads.
There'll be no last-minute deliveries either as Royal Mail workers strike for a second consecutive day. Unions warn they won't be backing down as they fight for a better deal.
Well, a royal milestone now, because King Charles III will pay tribute to his late mother in his first Christmas message to the nation.
And a Christmas phone call. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak decides not to do a traditional message, instead calling public servants to thank them for their service.
And some of you have been getting in touch with your Christmas trees. In fact, not just some of you, loads of you have been getting in touch with your Christmas trees, and we love to see it. Please keep them coming. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Oh, that's a cheeky little one there. And yes, that's us too. And Will Hollis as well, isn't it?
Yep, top points for that.
Top points. Happy nearly Christmas, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Now, our top story, get ready for more travel chaos. Don't worry, it gets lighter as the hour goes on.
Yeah.
More travel
Stay with
chaos. With families driving home for the festive period, you're being told to brace for disruptions as further rail strikes kick off from 6 p.m.
Yes, Network Rail is advising passengers to travel today only if absolutely necessary, which is quite difficult if you are trying to get to see your family for Christmas. They're also saying that most people should try and complete their journeys by 3 p.m.
So in the latest strikes in the run-up to Christmas, Border Force staff as well as postal workers are also walking out over paying conditions.
The Prime Minister has apologised for the Christmas travel disruption, but insists that public sector pay must be controlled.
Well, Will Hollis, he's back again. You can't keep him away, Will. Oh, it's getting lighter, Will. It's getting lighter. Our East Midlands reporter at Nottingham Railway Station. Good morning. I mean, is it getting anything like as busy at all as it should be? Yes, it's just empty there, isn't it? It's barren.
No, it's still very quiet. I think a couple of the cafes inside are open. There's a lot of people doing deliveries to the local shops because this is quite a busy part of the city centre, but footfall seems to be quite low. I haven't seen anybody coming off of trains for at least the last hour or so, and I haven't seen anybody waiting for trains too. There was one gentleman who said he was expecting his cross-country train, which is running in and out of the station to get him to Bath. He was expecting that to run. But here in the East Midlands, no East Midlands Railway trains are running except for a very small service between Corby and St Pancras that's going to be very limited. It's going to be very much the same picture no matter where you go. Lots of routes have been closed altogether. Lots of train stations have been closed altogether. The advice is to do your journeys if you have to, if they are absolutely necessary, as early as possible, because most trains are going to be terminating at about 3 o'clock ahead of the rail strike for RMT, which officially starts at around 6 p.m. Thousands of members of RMT. There are, of course, other unions on strike today in different parts of the country. Unite are on strike right now here at this particular station. Of course, those effects of those trains means that some people can't carry on their journeys. Lots of people will have already made new arrangements, but for one group of people that I met, a group of Croatian university students who were studying here at one of the local universities, they were telling me a little bit about their troubles when they got to the train station this morning at around 6 a.m.
Going to Manchester Airport, well, I was supposed to take the train to Sheffield and then from Sheffield to Manchester, but yeah, there is no train, so now I have to grab an Uber. Yeah, I'm going home to Croatia for Christmas. Yeah, I'm hoping to get home by Christmas, but we'll see.
I was supposed to catch a train to Manchester to go home for Christmas, to Croatia actually, to visit our families. But unfortunately, we couldn't get a train because of the strikes, even though we bought our tickets on the website, but it turned out not being any available trains to get to.
Well, I'm a bit frustrated that the train isn't running, especially because there was no notice that it's not going to go. I thought the strike would be affected like from 6 onwards. That's at least what we saw. Well, we need to find another solution. It's probably going to be an Uber. We don't know exactly yet. We will see what we can find. And it is what it is, but I understand the situation. It definitely makes sense. It could have been planned out a bit better, so we don't get in this situation to arrive here and now ask ourselves what we're going to do.
Yes, well, of course, this really is the culmination of a year of strikes been going on for particularly the last 6 months. It really is about two big things. Pay, obviously, inflation is the figure that most unions would want to get for their members. That's still at around 10%. But the other really big one, as a few of the people that are working today on the trains from the local train operator, that they told me it really is about protecting their jobs and conditions. One man was telling me that he's worked on the trains for about 4 decades and he's really in a difficult position, wondering what's going to happen to the rest of his career, because he's thinking, is his job going to be safe in the future? Some of the things that the unions say that they're trying to protect are, for example, people working in kiosks, guards like train drivers and train guards, because there's conversation about having driverless trains, as well as another big one. Nobody wants to be working on a Sunday, and unsociable hours is a bit of a sticking point between the unions and the operators.
Yeah, well, it's a really complicated issue, isn't it? And listening to those Croatian students that you spoke to there, they're talking about having to get an Uber to Manchester Airport from Nottingham. They're being forced onto the roads because they can't get a train. It's going to be the case for lots of people today, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's the conversation that I was having with those university students was that it was going to be around £150 to £200 for their Uber. I think they went off and they've got it now. They said that their flight to Croatia from Manchester was at around midday. Of course, it's not just getting on the planes, also getting on the roads is going to be a bit trickier, because 17 million cars are on the roads today, according to the AA. Lots of people that might have got the trains are instead going to be getting in cars, or instead getting on coach services like National Express. Those coach operators say that they've put on a number of extra trains, a number of extra coaches today, so that they can get around and get people to where they need to be today.
Absolutely. Will, thank you very, very much, mate. Always an absolute pleasure. You're doing stellar work for us from outside Nottingham train station there, and of course reporting on the fact that loads of people are going to have to be driving home for Christmas, Will, aren't they? And I can't help but notice that the sun is starting to come out a little bit there. Previous viewers will have known that you did promise. Yeah, it is, Will. Previous viewers will remember that you said you'd belt out a little bit of a song for us. Here he is. Go
I'm
on.
dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. May your dreams, days be merry and bright. And this is the big finish. And may all your Christmases be white.
Oh, Will Hollis, you absolute legend. Well done, mate. Well done. Will Hollis, everyone.
He's a good sport, that Will.
Can't believe I just did that.
I can't, but well done.
Can't believe
well
it.
done.
Voice.
What a
Where did
guy.
that come from?
He's a crooner. He's a crooner.
Practicing.
He is. Right, a tone shift now, ladies and gentlemen. Very much a tone shift. You'll remember, of course, the big news from yesterday anyway. Very disturbing news, actually, because a woman and 2 men have been killed and several others injured after a gunman opened fire at a Kurdish community centre in Paris. Protesters clashed with police officers around where the incident took place. Meanwhile, the French President Emmanuel Macron condemned the incident, describing it as a heinous attack on the Kurdish community.
Well, we're joined now in the studio by David Chazan, who is a Paris correspondent at The Telegraph. Good morning to you, David. Really disturbing scenes in Paris yesterday. Just tell us what we know so far about what happened.
Well, you described the attack. The gunman, who is described as a 69-year-old retired train driver, has been arrested. He was overpowered by local people shortly after the shootings, and the police then took him away minutes after the attack. So he allegedly walked into the Kurdish Cultural Centre first, fired several shots in there, then went into a hairdressing salon, which is next to the cultural centre, fired some more shots there, and then apparently went into the bathroom and attempted to reload his handgun. And that's when the owner of the hair salon and several other people went in there and overpowered him and took his weapon away. Now, this is a man who has form. He was only released from custody less than 2 weeks ago. He was awaiting trial for what's believed to have been another racially motivated attack, where he took a sword and went into a migrant camp, stabbed 2 people, not fatally, and slashed their tents. So there's going to be a lot of questions now about why this man was released, if he was dangerous, how come he had a gun, why didn't the police vet him properly, or there's going to be...
Well, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why there were protests yesterday. I believe I actually spoke to you yesterday, and I was live on air when the riots, protests, whatever you want to call them, really broke out, and it looked as though it had the potential to get incredibly nasty, incredibly quickly. The police against elements of the Kurdish community. Has that kind of calmed down now, or is there something still simmering?
No, the protests have calmed down now, but they did last for a few hours, and calm wasn't restored till about 7 p.m. Paris time, so it was a good 3 or 4 hours. To be honest with you, I think the television pictures probably look a little bit worse than the situation actually was. What seems to have happened is that the Interior Minister went to the scene to express solidarity with the Kurdish community and so on, and French police operating the way they do. There were a lot of them. Some of them were in full riot gear. They immediately threw up a security cordon around the minister. Now, that seems to have infuriated some of the protesters who believe that the Kurdish community is not adequately protected by the French state, and they started hurling rocks at the police, who responded with tear gas. See, I think there's two different perceptions of this attack. For most French people, it's a racially motivated attack by a man who, for whatever reason, doesn't like foreigners, doesn't like immigrants. For the Kurdish community, this has revived traumatic memories of the killings of 3 female Kurdish activists in just that same area of Paris almost 10 years ago. Now, a Turkish citizen was arrested for those killings, but it's widely believed among the Kurdish community in Paris that the Turkish state was somehow behind those killings, and the man arrested died before he could be brought to trial. And so even though they realised that this was a Frenchman who carried out this attack yesterday, many members of the Kurdish community in Paris still continue to believe that the Turkish state was somehow involved in this.
David Shazam, really good to have you in the studio to kind of outline what happened in Paris yesterday. Really disturbing detail there, but thank you for sharing that with us. And like you said, for the Kurdish community there, it will feel as though history is repeating itself. A similar attack 10 years ago. And did Emmanuel Macron's comments go far enough?
Well, no, it's just difficult to say that they did, didn't they? We'll bring you the latest on that as and when we get more information as well on that incident in France that took place yesterday. But I think it's time now for us to bring you up to date, isn't it?
Yeah, these are the other stories that are going on today. The number of people to die from the blisteringly cold weather in the US has risen to 13. 4 people have been confirmed dead and many others injured in a massive car crash caused by extreme ice on the Ohio Turnpike in Erie County. Temperatures plunged as low as minus 45 degrees in some areas. The storm is forecast to develop into what's being described as a bomb cyclone, bringing with it heavy, blinding snow.
And the US Congress has passed a £37 billion emergency aid bill for Ukraine. The record military funding follows President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington on Wednesday, his first foreign trip since the start of Russia's invasion. The bill, which passed only hours before the midnight deadline, was actually hotly contested by Conservative Republicans who raised concerns about the level of US support for Ukraine.
The NHS is warning parents about the risks of swallowing toy parts as more and more children are going to hospital over it. The number of children admitted to hospital having consumed a small object has doubled over the last 10 years to almost 230. Doctors are mainly worried about penny-sized batteries that make up part of several household items, like festive lights and TV remotes.
Gosh, well, more than 32 pubs in England and Wales have closed each month this year as rising costs have forced businesses to shut. Property group Altus says that the overall number of pubs has gone down by almost 400 as pubs grapple with soaring energy costs, rising food prices and, of course, decreasing demand.
Well, tomorrow at 3 p.m, we will see King Charles's first Christmas speech. His Majesty the King will be paying tribute to the late Queen.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be emotional, no doubt. This will be the first televised Christmas speech by a sitting king in British history, which actually, when you say that out loud, is bonkers, isn't it?
It's amazing,
really?
yeah.
It is incredible. Well, joining us now is royal commentator. It's Rafe Heidelmanku. Rafe, fantastic to have you in.
Lovely to see you both.
Happy nearly Christmas to you, of course. What can we expect from King Charles? The first televised Christmas speech by a king.
Yes, I mean, this is a speech of profound historical significance. It's 90 years, actually, since the very first speech King George V delivered in 1932, so important for that event in itself. Also 70 years since the Queen's first Christmas speech was delivered in 1952, and the King is only the third king in history to have delivered a Christmas speech. His great-grandfather, George V, his great-uncle, Edward VIII, didn't reign long enough to give a speech, but then his grandfather, King George VI, did up until 1951. So it's amazing to think of 90 years, almost 70 of those was just our own Queen delivering those speeches.
Wow.
And this will, of course, be the first televised one. An inspired decision, I think, to have it in St George's Chapel, Windsor, obviously where his parents are now lying at rest together, with his mother's committal service only taking place a few weeks ago, really, in September. And I think it would be inconceivable if he didn't pay tribute to her extraordinary reign and legacy, which culminated, of course, in the glorious Platinum Jubilee, which we saw over the summer, the perfect cherry on the cake of a life of service. You know, when the Queen gave her her last Christmas message was actually a tribute to her late husband who had died. Her first Christmas message was a tribute to her father, who had just died. And there she also pledged herself to the country and said that she will carry on his traditions. And I think we can expect the same thing from the King.
It will be very emotional viewing, won't it, for many British people? I was saying to Patrick earlier, I think for many people, it won't hit home, really, until they sit down on Christmas Day, 3 p.m, as they always have, and it's not Her Majesty on the screen, it's her son instead. And he will have to strike that balance, won't he, between his own Christmas message and also relaying that emotion that I'm sure so many people will feel.
For millions of people across the country and indeed across the Commonwealth, you're quite right. The Queen's Christmas speech is as much part of Christmas tradition and Christmas Day as Brussels sprouts. Probably enjoyed a lot more by some people than others. And I think to have someone else deliver that speech will really be quite a shock to some people, because it's such a part of our established tradition. But, you know, every monarch makes the Christmas speech their own. We know that this is actually the one moment of the year when the sovereign writes their own speech. The Queen always wrote her own speech with a bit of input from Prince Philip and her staff, but no government interference. A rare chance to have someone speak from the soul. And we know, of course, the King has a lot of passionate views on things. Usually you draw from world events, the Commonwealth, the nation, but also reflect on your own family. And I think we can see more of that coming tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. And just remind us, look, hey, I'm going to ask a really stupid question here. It won't be the first time or the last time. What time is it taking place? Because I always seem to manage to mess it up.
It's had the same time since 1932,
yeah, right, Ray.
which is just 3 p.m, Patrick. Set your watch. Why did you know this? We always have lunch right after the Christmas speech. Good way to do it. And that was because at 3 p.m. was the best time for everyone in the Empire to be awake, apart from people in Australia and New Zealand, but you captured most of the world at 3 p.m.
That's really
nice. So actually, it was a good question.
It was a good
Thank you very much. Yes.
So it's quite interesting that you said there about perhaps talking about his own family. Will he touch upon Harry and Meghan and the documentary that's been all over Netflix in the past couple of weeks? I mean, he said before they're very much loved members of the family. Do you think we'll hear anything like that?
Well, we don't know yet. We have to wait and see. But we shouldn't be surprised if he does mention them, as he did in his first speech when he ascended to the throne. The King's policy has been to love-bomb the Sussexes by showering them with affection no matter what they say and to rise above it, which I think is quite a sensible power play. And, of course, you have to remember that this was recorded just before the last 3 episodes of Netflix 2, which should be mentioned.
Oh, gosh.
But I think, really, the King's is a father first and foremost, and while the British nation may have given up on the Sussexes, very much for the King, I think it's a question of turning the other cheek and keeping the door open for his prodigal son. And what could be more Christian than that, especially at Christmas time?
Well, exactly that, isn't it? I mean, at Christmas especially, he's got to set an example as part of his role, part of his duty, and maybe he can do that by, well, at least not maybe saying what the nation might want him to say about it. But thank you very much. Great to have you on. And, yes, hope you have a fantastic day.
And to you both, too.
Ray, for whatever it is that you're doing. Rafe Hale-Mancu there, royal commentator, just reacting to the fact that, yes, we're going to be hearing at 3 p.m. tomorrow at 3 p.m. We've got the King's speech.
No, you can't get too boozy at lunchtime tomorrow, Patrick.
No, I won't.
You've got a
Don't worry.
speech to watch. You're working tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, with you.
Oh, yeah, we're working together. Good to know you're on the ball, Patrick. You know what's going on more than me.
That's all right. There we go. Right, more to come, including the latest in the world of showbiz, including what is hitting our screens this festive period. Make sure you stay tuned for that.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere. Amazing! You see, amazing! You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel. Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful. Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akue, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Patrick Christys and Ellie Costello.
Yes, indeed. Well, now, forget the presents or Christmas dinner, because what we really want to know is what we can watch on the box, apart from, of course, this is a pointless segment because you'll all be glued to GB News throughout the course of the day.
Of course.
Right? Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
But if you've eaten too much and you might want to relax in front of the TV, there's plenty of Christmas specials to keep you entertained over the next few days. You'll be very happy to know that Stephanie Tetchy joins us in the studio now to talk us through it all.
Good morning. Looking fabulous, by the way.
I look like a Christmas tree.
Like a bauble.
Literally, this is the only time of year this dress is going to come out. Other than that, it stays tucked in the wardrobe.
It's perfect. You look incredible. You're putting us both
I'm
to shame.
letting the sign down today. I look like a competition winner,
Should
don't
have
I?
some sequins for you, Patrick, actually.
Yeah.
Might have some earrings in the background.
Absolutely.
There's always tomorrow, Patrick.
Always tomorrow. Right, what's coming up?
Well, it's all about lounging in front of the TV for me. Already, I've planned all the TV I'm going to watch, and there's something for everybody. And kickstarting the day will be The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. So this is an animated version of Charlie Mackay's children's book, and it's very heartwarming, very endearing. And there's going to be a cast of well-known actors. So Idris Elba will be playing the Fox, Tom Hollander will be playing the Mole, and Gabrielle Bryan will be the voice of the Horse. So it's actually going to be on 4:55 of BBC One tonight, but also 9 a.m. tomorrow. It's so good they're doing it twice.
So actually, hey, little heads up here, because I clock off this morning, right? I'm not even usually awake now, so I can go home and watch that at 4:55.
4:55, and tomorrow at 9 a.m. But you'll be on air, Patrick, so you'll miss it tomorrow.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Don't forget.
And then another festive classic is The Snowman. I love The Snowman. Just seeing a young David Bowie in it, and you know what? The Snowman turns 40 this year. 40 years of action of The Snowman.
Wow. Is that film, Walking in the Air? I'm not going to
Walking in the Air. Yeah, yes, that's gonna, and it's only 26 minutes, so it won't take too much of your day.
My
Yeah,
kind of
and
film,
it's
though.
one that appeals to all generations. So that'll be on 11 a.m. on Channel 4, and then the next one is The King's Speech, which we've been talking about all morning. So that's going to be on 3 p.m. at BBC One. So this is the first time in 7 decades we're going to have a new monarch who's going to be talking about the year, what we've had, which has been quite monumental for the royal family. And he filmed it at St George's Chapels. Usually the Queen done it in Buckingham Palace, so there is going to be really that shift of monarchy here. So that will be 3 p.m. on BBC One. And if you want to watch something after the King's Speech, it's going to be Aladdin, the live retelling one, the 2019 version.
See, this is what I'm
Will
looking
Smith.
forward to, yes.
Yeah, so that comes straight after the King's Speech. Again, Will Smith plays the genie on there. It's the live-action remake, so it's not the cartoon, so it'll be quite entertaining.
I haven't seen this yet, so I'm going to wait till tomorrow. It looks great.
And then we've got the naughty broadcasters, as I like to call them, Channel 4. Channel 4. They've got the alternative Christmas message, what they do every year, as an alternative to the King's Speech. So this year, they're going to have the world's most advanced AI robot called Emmett, who's going to be delivering their Christmas speech, and he's going to be talking about the highs and the lows of the year gone by, and he's also going to be questioned about humans.
No, I'm not expecting you to have the answer to this question, by the way, but does the AI robot write its own speech?
He must do, because they're saying he's the most advanced robot. So I'm
right.
thinking he
Wow.
must do some writing, and he's going to be delivering this speech over the course of 20 minutes. So
A 20-minute speech?
Yeah, so this is going to be quite fascinating. But the good thing about Christmas TV, guys, it's a Christmas Day special. So we're going to have the Strictly, after last week's final, we're going to have a new batch of celebrities who are going to be competing for the Christmas Glitter Ball Trophy. So that's going to be including people like DJ Ricky Hayward-Williams, Larry Lamb and Nicola Roberts from Girls Aloud.
It's a good lineup, isn't it?
It is, and you know, it's a lot of intense pressure for them because they've only got one show to get it right. So we will have a Christmas champion by the end of it.
Wait, so they do all this training, literally just for the one episode?
Just the one
But are they not
episode.
gutted? Because, no, I don't watch Strictly, so I might be about to yet again ask me a bit stupid, but have these people previously been on Strictly?
No.
So they're wasting their Strictly chance on a one-off. I'd be on the phone to my agent, not that I have, what do you think it's obvious? I'd say, I'd be saying, no, get me on the proper series.
No, because the series can be quite taxing. I do love Strictly, but the series is quite taxing. Every week, having to train through that grid. I think this is just one bing bang bosh, you're done. Right. I like the Christmas special.
I'm
I
with
think
you
it
on this,
stands out a bit
Patrick.
more.
I think it's
I'll be holding out for the...
Yeah, it's a good lineup as well. I just think for a one-off...
So it'll make for good viewing anyway, so it'll be interesting to see who wins. But we have other specials, including Called the Midwife, Dr. Martin on ITV. But, guys, the big thing for me is EastEnders.
Yes.
It's going to be...
I don't watch EastEnders. I saw the advert yesterday and I thought, my gosh, that looks explosive.
It's going to be very explosive. Producers have said it's going to be a tragic love story between Mick and Janine, so they're due to get married. But Danny Dyer's leaving the square, so they've kept their lips sealed on what's going to happen to his character, but he could get killed off on Christmas Day.
And it's his wedding day.
And it's his wedding day. Anything to do with Janine, you know it's going to be trouble.
Someone's going to end up
This has got classic soap opera written all over it. A wedding day,
all the drama
soap
that we
opera
love.
weddings are just the stuff of legend, aren't they?
I love a soap opera when it goes bad. So this is going to be on BBC One at 9:25. It's going to be an hour-long special. But, guys, if anyone doesn't want to watch any of the festive stuff, you can head over to Netflix, and there's stuff like Emily in Paris, which has a new 10 episodes in the new series, and we've got The Witcher with Henry Cavill, and this will be his last season in the show.
Do you watch a little bit of Emily in Paris?
I watched the first episode, my first episode of it, last night.
Did you?
Last
What do you
night.
think?
I actually liked the fashion.
Oh,
okay.
I really liked the fashion. It's very
here.
OTT, and I thought it was nice.
Does this make you want to go to Paris, watching the show?
See, the thing is, I've been to Paris.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
You don't look happy about Paris, Patrick.
Mixed reviews. Mixed bag for me, I'm afraid. A mixed bag for me. I think it very much depends what day you get Paris on. You know? But also, the thing is, as well, you know, at the time I was quite a poor student. Can't do a lot in Paris.
Now you're spending all your money on...
Hey, here we go.
But Emily in Paris is one of those where it is so bad, It's good.
Yeah, it's just
And
addictive
it's so
viewing.
bad.
I just watch for the fashion as well and the
Yeah.
love story. She's always in a love triangle with these sexy French men, so I like a bit of that.
Yeah, you like a bit of that stuff. Yeah.
I must admit, I'm in, pretty terrible shape at the moment because of all the Christmas treats. And I was looking at...
He's a bit stressed today.
I am. Well, I've just eaten a sausage McMuffin, so I'm my own worst enemy.
Now's the time,
I was looking at all the beautiful people in Emily in Paris and just smarting into my box of celebrations.
A bit of a Scrooge.
Yeah, I know.
I think we're all going to be doing the same this festival. Look, even in front of us now, we've got a plate of these each. Have you seen that?
I've only
It's behind
just...
your laptop.
That looks scrumptious.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 5. Is that 6? Yeah, 6 each. There you go.
you very
Might as well.
Yeah.
Stephanie, you're a
See you guys in a
star.
bit.
And you look
Thank
like a
you.
glitter ball.
Christmas star.
A strictly glitter ball. Thank you very much.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. Right, OK, right, this month, many of you will have received some Christmas gifts or will be waiting to open them tomorrow.
You've already opened some, haven't you?
I've opened them all.
Have you?
Yeah, I've opened them all.
Oh, Patrick.
Yeah.
What are you like?
I know, I couldn't wait.
But we've all had that moment, haven't we, where we might have been joyfully surprised or completely disappointed with the gift we have received.
By the way, this is a gift from my grandma this time, so thank you very much, Grandma. 'Tis the season of giving, but we are asking the viewers at home, have you received a Christmas gift that you didn't quite like?
Well, joining us now is Tommy Sadhu, who's a comedian and broadcaster.
Hey.
Hi, Tommy. We've got a great festive setup there.
Yeah,
Talk us through your tree
I've got to make
behind
the
you. It looks
effort.
great.
I just thought it falls upon me. It falls upon me to make the effort and bring the Christmas cheer. I want to show you a nice, happy Christmas house right now. This is what we are. We're not. Everyone's arguing. Everyone's shouting. Everyone's moaning. I've told them all. I said, listen, just keep it down. 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, just pretend we're normal. OK, so they're all just waiting. I'm like, hey, don't use your laptops, don't use your iPads, don't use your devices. I'm going on the internet, everyone. OK, I'm going on the internet to go to GBNews. Don't ruin this. Make us look normal. So hello, Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Oh, fantastic stuff.
dear.
So presents, OK? The season of giving. Tommy, what have you got? What are you going to be giving? What are you going to be receiving? What's in people's stockings?
OK, for the first time ever, me and the missus, no present. And I said to her only a few days ago, I said, look, are we agreeing this? Are we definitely doing no? Because don't spring a present on me then and make me look like the one who forgot the present. And she goes, no, seriously, no, let's just not do it this year. Because you end up just getting token gestures of clothes that she might already have, and I just get it a bit wrong. And personally, can I just put this out there? As a parent, to anybody out there who hasn't got kids, who's coming to bring presents for my kids, don't bring something that I have to build. That's not a present. That's not. I'm going to lose a day screwing little bits together, making little toys together. I know a couple of years ago, someone bought an amazing like a house thing, and I'm like, that's 3 days of my life. Like, what? Why would you do that to me? Why would you? So no, don't do presents that involve more work. That's the main thing.
I'm with you on that. That's why I don't go to IKEA. Seriously, I don't get the. I don't get. Why am I paying to build my own sofa? I don't get that, but yes, I wonder if people might be cutting back a little
Hold
bit.
a minute, Patrick, when you went and got your sausage and egg McMuffin this morning, did they give you the bread, the bun, the cheese? No.
Absolutely, yeah, I know.
Tommy, I think you just need to doubly, triply check with your wife that that's an absolute no-go, because this is what we do as women. We say we don't want anything, but we mean we want something. It just needs to be a surprise. So just double-check on that one.
No, I've double checked. But can I also say, I took them to Disneyland Paris last weekend, and Patrick, I share your same thing. I was a bit like, Paris? It's a bit, and it was freezing. So they've had their Disneyland trip. The missus has got some presents wrapped underneath this tree for the kids and stuff. So there's a few things they're going to open. But normally, can I be honest? Normally we have done like loads of presents. And I find the kids go a bit crazy. If they've just got too much, it just becomes like they become like these Tasmanian devils just ripping through stuff. And it's just, there's no appreciation. So no, we're scaling it down this year. I think it's right. I think everyone's probably scaling it down this year. But we're scaling it down this year. We're doing no presents. But I want to share something with you, because I think again, only someone like me can probably share a story like this. I remember, obviously, we're from a family of immigrants. So when we first came in, first we're growing up in this country, and my parents were like, had us, and we're doing Christmas presents. We didn't really do it to start with. It started off with a tree, started with the odd present. I remember the first year we did presents in our family, my dad only got a present for one of my sisters. There's me and two sisters. So there was one present under the tree. And we all sat around and watched her open her typewriter. And I'm going, wow, we're really all happy for her. But then over the years, obviously, as we've got into, we're now fully sold into the Christmas spirit as even being Sikhs. We're in, we're celebrating. It's a holiday. So, right. So in that respect, now it's just become a huge commercial affair for us as well. But I'll just never forget that moment when there was one typewriter under the tree, and we all just me and my other sister just watched my eldest sister just go, thanks a lot. And we weren't allowed to use it, of course. But now times have changed. If I'm honest, I like people over. And it sounds all cheesy, but the best part of Christmas is just everyone over. I'm going to cook for 17, 18 people. We'll have 3 different meats. We'll have a load of veggie stuff and nibbles and drinks and stuff. I love it. That's the gift right there.
That's the gift.
What's your plan tomorrow, Tommy? Are you hosting?
Yeah, like 17 people over. We have to cobble tables together and stuff. It's everyone from my wife's family, as well as my own family, and it's good. It's chaos. The house is a tip at the end of it, but there's lots of memories. And now, when you go through your memories and your pictures on your phone, you look back over the years and you see the kids growing up and everyone here and everyone all on that table. We've now got about 8-9 years worth of pictures of everyone around the table, and that's so special. And I think that's what I love. And I love eating to excess as well.
Tell me about it, mate. Tell me about it. This shirt didn't do up this morning. Tommy, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas to you and your fabulous family as well. Tommy Sandy there, whizzing you through some Christmas presents.
I enjoyed that.
He's got to check it with his missus because guaranteed she's got him something.
Yeah, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And then we go in the huff all day when you don't get anything.
Absolutely.
What's the worst present you've ever had?
I've ever received. See, I'm very spoiled. Especially because I'm an only child.
Oh, are you?
So
you would be the chosen one having all the gifts?
I was always the chosen one, and my birthday's in January, so you used to get everything in the January sales, but it's further enough away from Christmas that people couldn't palm me off with a 2-for-1 present. So actually, really, I've had everything a child
It's a
could ever dream
win-win
of.
situation.
Yeah, and that's how you create someone as horrendous as this. Spoil them rotten and make them think they're the centre of the universe, but there we go. Oh, well, we've got loads more coming, haven't we? Are we going to do any trees, or is that later on? We're doing trees.
Yep, got one coming now, apparently.
Oh, there you go. Go on.
Let's get it up.
Take it away.
Wow. Look at that. There's a highly decorated tree there. I don't think there's a twig undecorated.
Is it real? It's real. It's hard for me to tell on these pictures if it's real or not. Bear in mind, you get added points for a real tree, people, OK? A real tree. And there's no excuse for it these days because you can just get a non-drop.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Do you know what? They've actually had to move a plasma screen into the studio for us so we can see them in a good size for you. So, this is nice. Oh, there's crosses on the window.
There's crosses on the window, but there's
very Christian.
2 superstars there to the bottom left of the screen, and you get additional points again if you can get Ellie and I in the shot.
Yeah, that's an extra point to you. I like the tinsel on this. There's lots of different varying types of tinsel.
Yeah.
Texture is important on a tree.
Texture is important on a tree. It's nice. I'm more of a traditionalist, perhaps. I tell you what, some people can really pull it off when it's like the bright white lights on a tree. For me, I like a warmer.
No, so you've gone multicoloured, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
See, I've just gone gold everything. And I was going to share a photo, but now I've been put to shame, I feel, by the viewers.
No, we'll get it on later.
But mine's kind of minimalistic gold, but I've gone gold bows, gold flowers, gold lights.
Oh, fantastic. Right, well, so far, Leon from Whitehaven is winning.
His regal,
Thank you, Leon, yeah.
palatial.
But he does live in Whitehaven Hall, which...
it does help.
Appears to be like Buckingham Palace from the looks of it. So Leon is winning, but if you think you can beat Leon, then get in touch. GBViews at gbnews.uk with your fabulous Christmas decorations.
Yeah, trees, your good gifts, your bad gifts. Have you wrapped? What's on the menu tomorrow? Just bring some fun and festive joy.
Festive joy.
To the programme, please. But lots more to come, so stay with us. We're going to be looking at the front pages of today's newspapers. That's after this.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by 2 of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers. If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late-night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 p.m. on GB News.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Co.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512,
Virgin Media Channel 604,
Freesat Channel 216.
Freeview Channel 236,
and YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio,
with the GB News app, and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with me, Ellie Costello, and Patrick Christie's.
Yeah.
Our first time working together.
Oh, there you go. First time for everything. Right, OK, so let's take a look at today's front pages, shall we? The Times leads with Rishi Sunak's plans to lure early retirees back into work. Sounds a bit sinister, doesn't it? With the headline, over 50s encouraged to end early retirement.
The Telegraph leads with the rise in defence spending, with an estimated £1 billion extra needed for the Ministry of Defence to avoid real-term cuts over the next 2 years.
Indeed, and The Guardian stays on the topic of strikes and how unions are reportedly accusing ministers of causing festive travel chaos.
The Daily Mail takes a different angle on the strikes, claiming that the NHS are wasting millions on woke non-jobs as frontline workers strike for better pay.
And finally, The Mirror leads with what we can expect from Charles's first Christmas speech as king, with the headline, always close to Mama. Which is quite cute, I think, isn't it?
It is quite cute, yeah. Now, time to go through the papers now, and joining us this morning, as they have been all morning, is editor of Spiked, Tom Slater, and journalist and playwright Emma Burnell. Tom, let's start with you, shall we? And this, yeah, as Patrick said, quite a sinister headline in the eye.
Luring in, man.
Yeah, Sunak luring the public in. Tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah, will it work is the question. But between January and March, he wants to plan a policy blitz to try and change the mood music, to try and show that he can deliver on the issues that matter to people talking about. But it seems quite ambitious, I think it's fair to say. Immigration, health, education and crime. He's going to sort them all out in his first 3 months of next year. But it does make you think, you know, Rishi Sunak, he's not the sort of person who sets pulses racing, shall we say. The thing he has in his favour, or at least the thing he tries to put forward, is I can get things done, I'm a technocrat, I can deliver whatever. And yet at the same time, we all know that not only given the short space of time he has to turn the ship around, but also because of the fact that him and his chancellor have imposed on themselves incredibly tight rules which, you know, restrict their room for manoeuvre. What will this even materialise into? None of that's really obvious at this point. So I don't think the luring is going to work, is the short answer.
No, and it does seem to be an odd one, you know, the policy blitz. Some of the things that he said he's going to do, Emma, I mean, there was one that he did about clearing the asylum backlog, and he basically gave himself until pretty much this time next year to do that. In order to do that, presumably, would have to bring in a variety of different laws, change a lot of rules, bring in some kind of task force in the Channel. All of that to do in a year, to me, just didn't seem likely. I wonder if he's already kind of signed his own resignation letter a year from now.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, whoever is briefing the various papers on behalf of Rishi Sunak is far too fond of the word lure, clearly. But, yeah, I mean, he seems to be setting himself up for ever larger falls, I think. You know, he could have just said, I've steadied the ship, let's not have change for change's sake. We're now in a more steady position. If I'd been advising him, that's what I would have sold it on, rather than I am going to solve every single crisis under the sun that we are clearly going through at the moment, and I'm going to do it by the time of the next election. voters are fed up with being given unrealistic promises.
And then excuses.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then excuses. And, you know, people did have an idea, of course, obviously, well, COVID, that was unexpected. Ukraine, well, that was unexpected. Yeah, OK, we appreciate all of that. But I think at some point people want to see something done, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also the public are aware that the reason that we went into COVID and the energy crisis in a worse position than others was because of some of the things that had come before. You know, lots of cuts to the public sector meant that when the public sector was really challenged, it wasn't strong enough.
Emma, let's stick with you, shall we? And banks closing, that's in the Mail.
Yeah. Something like 5,000 branches of banks and building societies have closed over the last, I think, 7 years, according to which, the consumer organisation. Now, we are managing our money differently. I do all of mine on an app. In fact, in the green room just now, I had a charge from Amazon I didn't know I'd had, and I had a whole conversation with someone to work out how. But there are lots of people who can't do that, and we do still need to have access to those services for those people. We need to have access to free cash points, not the ones that charge you £3 or £4 to take your own money out of the bank. And that is what's worrying about these closures of bank branches, particularly in very rural areas. If you haven't got access to those services and you're an older person, you're not au fait with the apps, it's really very, very worrying.
Yeah, indeed. And Tom, sometimes as well, the elderly can be harmed by this kind of stuff. They tend to quite like, I'm generalising here, they quite like a bit of cash in their pockets, don't they, as opposed to actually maybe using the technology, etc., to do it. I mean, is this I know you take cash home in wheelbarrows. You don't need to go to a bank. You know,
usually from Qatar or something.
Yeah, you don't need to go to a bank or anything like that, but potentially it could harm the elderly.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, you know, whenever you see the kind of, you know, high street bank opening of a morning, it's always the kind of older customers who are going in there to sort things out. You know, even if you're of a certain age, kind of telephone banking doesn't work for you necessarily either. So actually having those abilities, of course, I think, you know, as the years go on, older generations will get more tech savvy. You're already starting to see that. But there is a limit to that. People do need face-to-face service in many cases, and that's never really going to change.
And it's difficult now. I mean, even I had a cheque last week that I had to cash, and getting to a bank, first of all, it was about 5 miles away, and then the times, it's 9 till 3. Bank
Yeah. That annoys me, though.
Yeah, crazy. So it's this
all my money in
accessibility
there,
thing.
you won't even open.
And you can't get to it.
Can't even open.
Yep,
anyway, moving on. Pubs, Tom.
Yes, so more...
They're closing too, aren't they?
They're closing as well, so more than 32 pubs a month have disappeared this year amid rocketing energy bills and staffing pressures. So I think the story here is important to remember that pubs have been being hammered for quite a long time anyway, really ever since the smoking ban came in particular. That became very difficult for pubs which didn't serve food, which often meant in more working-class areas you saw a lot of pubs, wet-led, as they said, closing up. Increasing pressures, coming from councils, all kinds of a kind of perfect storm. And then, of course, we got lockdown. Then, of course, we got the cost of living crisis, now we've got energy crisis and so on, really kind of supercharging all of those long-term trends, which could really lead to so many pubs just disappearing for good, really. Because especially once a pub kind of disappears, it's very unlikely that someone will then later buy that out and turn it into one. They're usually gone for good at that point, turned into something else. So it's something that I think has crept up on us a little bit, but in the next few years we'll definitely start to feel that and see that.
I wonder if it's any coincidence, Emma, that I have stopped drinking and now 32 pubs a month.
Well, yeah, no, I've been dry for nearly 2 years, nearly 18 months now, and I think I may be solely responsible.
Yeah.
Between the two of you, you've got them all out of business.
What else have we got, Emma? We've got Mark Zuckerberg, is that right?
Yeah, so Mark Zuckerberg has settled a class action suit around the misuse of Facebook data, alleged misuse of Facebook data by Cambridge Analytica. This is a big scandal a few years ago. Cambridge Analytica were harvesting Facebook users' data through those dreadful quizzes that everyone used to do. Which character in Friends are you? Which Sex and the City woman are you? All of these things. Which one were you, Patrick Latham?
Oh, you know.
Patrick.
I was the Scouse one. Samantha. A bloke in my ear has just gone Samantha far too quickly, Tom. Anyway.
But we're joking, but actually lots of people's data was harvested, and there were strong allegations of misuse of that data. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook have now settled. They've not accepted liability, but they have given quite a lot of money to the people who were suing them, which I think is an important thing to keep remembering, that these things, our data is important, our security is important, and we should have more control over what happens with it and more understanding of how. And I think the idea that we all read those service user agreements that 60 billion pages long, we need much more clarity.
Yes.
We do.
Tom, let's have a look at the royals. We've been talking about them this morning. Obviously, the King's speech tomorrow at 3 p.m. There's a lot of family drama going on behind the scenes, though. Harry and Meghan, but also Prince Andrew. And the Sun says Charles has kicked him out.
He has, and we all reach for our tiny violins. But yes, he's losing his office and staff that he did have within Buckingham Palace. Given the fact that he's long stepped down as a working royal, why he needs an office and staff will not be obvious to many people. But it's still that, I think, Charles in particular, but even beforehand, there was this, desire to kind of put a lid on the Andrew business as much as they possibly could after he paid the millions of pounds in payouts to a woman he claims to have never met. And since then, there's been that kind of striking that balance, it seems like, of keeping him at the family dues. He's going to be at the Christmas lunch tomorrow and so on.
Everyone's got an awkward uncle, you know.
Exactly. No more awkward than Andrew, I'm sure. But at the same time, when it comes to the official duties, when it comes to having an office and so on, just very ruthlessly, no more. So that seems to be what we're seeing here.
Fair play, I think many people would say. Emma, I think we've got time, just a quick word on Matt Hancock. Book sales that haven't done too well, no?
Matt Hancock has stormed the book charts at number 191. Not exactly what his publishers were expecting or hoping for following his jungle experience. Turns out we'd rather see him eat insects than read his nonsense.
I'm glad you said insects. There we go. Well, thank you very much, both of you.
Yes.
I must say, another solid paper review.
Very good.
Emma Bonella, journalist and playwright, and Tom Slater, editor of Spikes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. OK, stay with us, because next hour we have lots more. We've got some on Christmas trees. Actually, I think we've got time to show you one now, actually.
Let's go. All right. OK, this is nice. So I'm going to say real. I think that's real. So extra point in the bag straight off the bat there. Good structure, I would say. I like the up the stairs. It's not bunting. What would you call it? Decorations. That's what it is. It's Christmas decorations. And tinsel. Tinsel. Thank you, Emma.
Glad you're here, Emma.
And what's this? One more.
Looking at the special screen, Emma.
Oh, we've got a special tree from Bethlehem.
Oh, wow.
Is this
live footage, I believe,
this
from
is
Bethlehem?
A very special tree from Bethlehem.
Yes, this is a live shot here of Bethlehem, obviously the birthplace of the baby Jesus, who comes for us tomorrow.
I mean, to be fair, everyone else now at home, bless them, has got no chance, have they?
I mean, it's large, isn't it? I'll say that much.
No, absolutely.
I think they could have done more with the decorations, though. I think there's more potential there to be had.
Yeah, Bethlehem.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think they could have done a bit more. They've got a manger, and crucially, loads of history.
And they have Jesus.
Yeah, actual Jesus. Where are the tiny Santas? There's no elf on the shelf in Bethlehem, is there?
Yeah, the Santa gnomes. Where are they?
Bit of a half-baked attempt that from Bethlehem. Anyway, right, gbnews@gbnews.uk. Come on, get in touch. Beat Bethlehem, people. I want to see your Christmas
and I bet you could as well.
That's the Christmas spirit. Beat Bethlehem.
Some of you are putting us to shame, honestly, so just keep them coming in and we're going to share as many as we can throughout the programme. But also let us know if you're trying to travel anywhere today, and if you are, good luck. The rails are a bit of a mess, aren't they, today, as they have been for several weeks. But don't travel post 3 p.m, isn't it?
That's the advice. That's the advice. Don't go anywhere after 3 p.m. Settle in, get the eggnog or mulled wine or whatever you take.
Large gin.
Large gin, all right. Large gin and do that. Right. OK, well, look, next hour, we've got a lot coming your way. It's fair to say a bit of a mixture of light and shade.
Yes, we'll be talking Christmas trees, your plans, and also really important news events as well. Yesterday's Paris shooting, the mail strikes, Daily Mail strikes, the Royal Mail strikes, and Gloria meets MPs and his constituents who are working to change the law on spiking. That's all to come after this break.
Good morning, I'm Alex Deakin, and this is your latest weather forecast from the Met Office. Christmas Eve, like Christmas Day, will be pretty mild and windy. There's going to be some rain around as well, but colder conditions are on the way for Boxing Day. Here's the big picture. Low pressure in control. It's wafting in mild air, and with that milder air comes plenty of showers as well. In fact, this morning we do have some snow falling over northern Scotland, mostly over hills, but some for a time getting down to lower levels. That should tend to fizzle out through the day. And actually, for most places, it's a dry and a bright Christmas Eve. There'll be some decent spells of sunshine. The winds will strengthen later, and certainly this afternoon, some showers for Wales and Northern Ireland that could well be on the heavy side. It is going to be mild, temperatures reaching double figures across the south and even further north across Scotland, a little warmer than it was yesterday. Still feeling cold, though, in the far north with the wet and windy weather here. Getting blustery everywhere this afternoon and through this evening. Some heavy showers moving into Wales, across Scotland, northern England too, and eventually into the Midlands. So it's a showery and blustery start to Christmas Day. It won't be a cold start, and these showers will be of rain, so you're not going to wake up to anything deep and crisp and even with these kind of temperatures, 5 to 8 degrees as we start Christmas Day. It is going to be a day of showers then, with some bright or sunny spells in between. It is going to be fairly windy as well, which means the showers will move through. Quite a lot of cloud across East Anglia and the southeast, with some more persistent rain perhaps here for a time. Showers elsewhere, but not everywhere seeing the showers. Some places, northern England, northern Scotland, may actually have a largely dry day. It is going to be mild, with temperatures getting up to double figures almost across the board, 8 or 9 across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Late in the day, northerly winds set in, bring some snow showers to northwest Scotland on Christmas Day night. That cold air arrives for all of us on Boxing Day, when there could well be some more snow showers in western Scotland. Merry Christmas.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prisons? I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, set off early, that's a warning of Christmas Eve travel misery as more walkouts begin on the railways.
Good morning, it's 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve, Saturday the 24th of December. This is Breakfast on GB News with Patrick Christys and Ellie Costello. Here are your top stories this morning.
Well, as rail workers go on strike again, millions making their way home for Christmas are warned that it could be chaos on Britain's roads.
There'll be no last-minute deliveries either, as Royal Mail workers strike for a second consecutive day. Unions warn they won't be backing down as they fight for a better deal.
A royal milestone now. King Charles III will pay tribute to his late mother in his first Christmas message to the nation.
And a Christmas phone call. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak decides not to do a traditional message, instead calling on public servants to thank them for their service.
Oh. As ever, you can join in any of our discussions by emailing gbviews@gbnews.uk, especially today. Send in pictures of your Christmas trees, hundreds flooding in. Keep it coming.
And we've got the people talking today, Patrick, about their trees, but we are in trouble.
Oh, why?
With Edward, who's tweeted me to say that I love that Ellie and Patrick are talking about Christmas gnomes on GB News, but they're gonks, apparently.
They're what?
They're called gonks.
Oh, I thought it was
so we've been talking about these Santa gnome things. That's not what they are. They're gonks.
Gonks?
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Oh, gosh, OK, well, there you go.
So it's like a special thing.
Well, it's like a little Christmas kind of... like a short stout thing with a beard, isn't it?
And a big hat.
Got them. Yes, OK, fair enough. Well, there you go. I stand corrected. It's not a beardy Santa, as I've been calling it all
No,
morning.
it's a gonk, and it
Thank you,
stems
Edward.
from Nordic and Scandinavian mythology. They're a mix of a gnome and a hobgoblin.
Oh, well, I stand corrected. Edward, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Fantastic
Edward.
stuff. Right,
Every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day. Right. Good morning,
Glad
everyone.
we cleared that up. Good morning.
Our top story today. Let's get serious, people, OK? More travel chaos, with families driving home for the festive period being told to brace for disruptions as further rail strikes kick in from 6 p.m.
Yes, Network Rail is advising passengers to travel today only if absolutely necessary, which is difficult if you're trying to see your family for Christmas Day. And they're also saying that most people should try to complete their journeys by 3 p.m. today.
That's going to be a massive struggle for a lot of people, isn't it? In the latest strikes in the run-up to Christmas, Border Force staff as well as postal workers are also walking out over paying conditions.
And the Prime Minister has apologised for the Christmas travel disruption, but insists that public sector pay must be controlled.
Well, joining us now is Will Hollis, our East Midlands reporter at Nottingham Railway Station, who I think is one of my favourite people ever. Will, thank you very much, especially for belting out a little number.
Yes.
Last hour, I won't make you repeat it. What is going on where you are? I can actually see for the first time people behind you.
Yeah, it is a little bit busier. There are a few people that seem to be either figuring out their plans or maybe waiting for some of the few trains that are coming in and out of Nottingham train station today. This is, of course, Nottingham in the East Midlands, so East Midlands Railway operates the train station here as well as all of the lines in and out of Nottingham, Leicester and Derby. No trains are operating on East Midlands Railway today, despite the train station being open. It only seems to be a few cross-country trains that are coming in from Birmingham, and I think one was heading down to Bath a little bit earlier, based on what one gentleman was telling me. So it is very limited and very subdued, and it is very much the same thing that you're going to find in any part of the country. Most routes and operators are running severely limited services if they're running any sort of service at all. Of course, this is in the long-running dispute that's been going on for as long as I can remember, as far back as this year goes, with all the turbulent different things that we've had in politics, as well as with various different things such as the death of Her Majesty the Queen. This is the thing that really sticks out, and RMT union Mick Lynch says this is going to carry on. There's no light at the end of the tunnel, if you excuse my cliche. As well, the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said he's sad and disappointed that it continues at this point, but he thinks that the government has acted fairly and reasonably on public pay. Pay is one of the big things in this dispute. Of course, it's around 10% that inflation is currently at, and unions would argue that they want something around that for their members. It's also about things like driverless trains and whether you've got somebody in a kiosk that can direct passengers, as well as things like unsociable working hours. The real advice today, because it is going to be incredibly busy, or would usually be incredibly busy at railway stations like this one, is to try and make other plans, only travel if absolutely necessary, or try and get it done as quickly as possible. But of course, even if you get here nice and early, your train might not actually be here, as I found out from a few university students who are trying to make their way back to Croatia for Christmas.
Going to Manchester Airport, well, I was supposed to take the train to Sheffield and then from Sheffield to Manchester, but yeah, there is no train, so now I have to grab an Uber. Yeah, I'm going home to Croatia for Christmas. Yeah, I'm hoping to get home by Christmas, but we'll see.
I was supposed to catch a train to Manchester to go home for Christmas, to Croatia actually, to visit our families. But unfortunately, we couldn't get a train because of the strikes, even though we bought our tickets on the website, but it turned out not being any available trains to get to.
Well, I'm a bit frustrated that the train isn't running, especially because there was no notice that it's not going to go. I thought the strike would be affected like from 6 onwards. That's at least what we saw. Well, we need to find another solution. It's probably going to be an Uber. We don't know exactly yet. We will see what we can find. And it is what it is, but I understand the situation. It definitely makes sense. It could have been planned out a bit better, so we don't get in this situation to arrive here and now ask ourselves what we're going to do.
Well, you have done a stellar job outside Nottingham railway station. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date. And good luck as well to those Croatian students trying to get home via Uber to Manchester Airport today.
Well, have a cracking Christmas, mate. Thank you so much. Getting up before the crack of dawn, going to stand out Nottingham railway station.
Singing for us.
Singing for us, keeping the public up to date. You are a true hero. Well done.
He's a man of the moment. Is our Will Hollis.
Keep these Christmas pics coming in, by the way. We've got some absolute corkers. Remember,
he's very excited.
I love this. Full points for the real tree, Ellie and I in the shot. And if you can try to do something a little bit like Janice, I see you, Janice, with a dog in there as well, then you've won. Anyway, right, we're moving on, because it's another strike day for postal workers across the UK as they argue for better pay plus terms and conditions.
Yes, it's the 10th day they've walked out in the run-up to the festive season. Part of the dispute, which has been going on since summer, is caused disruption for businesses and customers looking to receive letters and parcels this month, including you. You're missing parcels, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, absolutely, yes.
Aren't we all?
Royal Mail say that there will be no standard deliveries. Meanwhile, they'll deliver as many special deliveries and tracked parcels as possible today.
Yes, well, our national reporter Theo Chkumba has the story.
It's yet another day where those expecting deliveries may have to wait a little longer as members of the Communication Workers Union walk out for the second day after rejecting a deal this week within hours of receiving it.
All we asked for the company in return was to get round the table, proper negotiations, not to introduce unagreed change while those talks were taking place, and to give us the assurance that they're not going to introduce a new resourcing model to bring in self-employed workers who have to pay for their own vans, their own, they don't get holiday pay, they don't get sick pay, agency workers and workers on 20% less terms and conditions.
Bearing the brunt, this business in West London manufactures beauty products for people with sensitive skin.
Good morning, guys. How are you getting on today?
This time of the year is their peak trading period.
Christmas time and also the time before Black Friday. It's probably the most busiest time during the year. So sometimes we need to call like extra help from either agency or even from different departments. So we are like a family, so we usually help each other just to make sure that the product is made on time, but also with the highest quality standard. So that's our aim.
Postal workers have been offered a 9% pay increase over 18 months, described by Royal Mail as the company's best and final offer. But what does this mean for millions of customers across the UK who rely on their service? It is that time of the year again when many people will be coming into their local high streets to get those last-minute Christmas presents. But this year, with Royal Mail strikes, some are experiencing delays, especially if they haven't had the opportunity to come and get them in person. The strikes have caused disruption in the days leading up to Christmas for Pi Skincare, as they say Royal Mail is the glue that connects them to their online customers.
It's often not just people desperately, panic buying gifts. Often for us, because we are a beauty brand, many of our customers will be realising they're going away and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to run out of my skincare. So they're doing a lot of panic replenishment too. So there's a bit of that, but oh yeah, no, this last week and those last days before Christmas are really busy for us.
While there are no further strike days announced yet, no agreement has been reached, meaning we could see further strike days next year. The Comber, GB News.
OK, let's bring you up to date with other stories that are going on today. The number of people to die from the blisteringly cold weather in the US has risen to 13. 4 people have been confirmed dead and many others injured in a massive car crash caused by extreme ice on the Ohio Turnpike in Erie County. Temperatures plunged as low as minus 45 degrees in some areas. The storm is forecast to develop into what's being described as a bomb cyclone, bringing with it heavy, blinding snow.
Well, the US Congress has passed a £37 billion emergency aid bill for Ukraine. The record military funding follows President Zelensky's visit to Washington on Wednesday, his first foreign trip since the start of Russia's invasion. The bill, which did actually only pass hours before the midnight deadline, was hotly contested by Conservative Republicans. They were raising concerns about the level of US support for Ukraine.
The NHS is warning parents about the risks of swallowing toy parts as more and more children are going to hospital over it. The number of children admitted to hospital having consumed a small object has doubled over the last 10 years to almost 230. Doctors are mainly worried about penny-sized batteries, which make up part of several household items like festive lights and TV remotes.
Yeah, well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we've been trying to keep it a little bit light as Christmas is, of course, around the corner, but there are some serious stories out there, and this is very much one of them. A woman and 2 men have been killed and several others sadly injured after a gunman opened fire at a Kurdish community centre in Paris. Protesters clashed with police officers around where the incident took place. Meanwhile, the French President Emmanuel Macron condemned the incident, describing it as a heinous attack on the Kurdish community.
Well, for more analysis, let's speak now to Paris-based columnist for The Telegraph, Anne-Elisabeth Moutet. Good morning to you, Anne. Bring us up to date then. There's a lot that's gone on in the past 24 hours or so. What do we know about the incident that happened?
Well, what we really know is that there are 2 readings of it, and the government has sort of angled on one, but we're not quite sure yet. The perpetrator doesn't fit your normal terrorist portrait. He is 69 years old. He's a former metro driver. He lived in a flat alone in the center of Paris. His own 90-year-old father says that he's crazy. He collected guns and managed to get some in France where the gun laws are very strict. And he came out of 1 year time in jail only 2 weeks ago, and that was already for attacking a camp of migrants. So all of this points to a racist murder. But at the same time, this Kurdish center is a focus point for the Kurdish community in Paris. The Kurdish community was very angry yesterday because they felt that they hadn't been protected, even though exactly 10 years ago, 3 Kurds who were active in their freedom movements were attacked not very far away from the same place. And the result is that you had unrest in the streets in Paris yesterday, with Kurds saying, where was the French police? Why are we not protected? Kurds have not had a nation ever since the end of the First World War, where the map that was redrawn by the great powers omitted to create Kurdistan. And there is also the question is that we have seen in other instances Turkish attacks deliberately against a Kurdish center, so that could be it as well.
Yeah, and indeed. And, I mean, I was on air yesterday when these protests and riots really broke out, and we had some shocking live video footage from both sides of the incident, actually, from just behind the police lines and then just behind where these protesters were. And it looked incredibly volatile. What is Paris like today? I understand that you are in Paris now, is that right? What is it like today? Is it a city kind of coming to terms with what happened, or depressingly?
I'm outside Paris now.
You're outside Paris. Oh, well, there you go. You're not fled, I hope. But what's it like?
I'm sorry that on Christmas Eve I just didn't stay in the right area, but it wasn't planned. No, but seriously, the thing about Paris is that it has become in recent decades, to 1 or 2 decades, has become much more volatile with practically any kind of peaceful protest that doesn't end like that. And the young people who yesterday expressed their anger are the same young people who grew up in France and who've seen every other group, unions, yellow vests, etc., express their anger. And there was also this feeling that they were being victimized, because you have very few demonstrations in France which start by saying, "Where is the police? We want more police." So that's slightly different. But no, unfortunately, it's become very frequent in Paris to have those kinds of riots. It was not. They were not throwing stuff at the police, but it degenerated because that has been tolerated too often in France for the past 20 years, I should say.
A lot of this anger comes from questions, doesn't it? Questions about the man who has been arrested for this crime, questions about how he managed to get a gun, about why he was released from prison. I mean, there's a lot of questions to what exactly happened here, isn't there?
There's amazing questions which can well be asked. I mean, why was he not, after having been in jail for attacking a camp of migrants with a sword, why was he not under police check? How is it that he managed even to practice shooting as a sport? You need a registration, you need a personality check. Certainly, the minute you've been with the object of a justice condemnation, you should not be allowed to possess guns. So there are many things that flew under the radar. And the people who saw the shooting, there was a young man who was interviewed by the newspaper Le Parisien, and he said, "I saw this guy and he almost looked like a homeless person, and he was carrying this bag. He was slightly stooped. I mean, he didn't look like some sort of dangerous person. And suddenly he looked at people just outside the center and he pulled something out of his bag and he started shooting." And that's something that is both surprising and terrifying.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Look, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate you making the time for us. And I do hope you have a good Christmas as well and that it all goes rather well for you, Anne. Thank you very, very much. Just filling us in there from the latest. From what was shocking scenes yesterday, initially the attack, 3 dead, 2 injured critically, and the individual himself, a 69-year-old man, responsible for it, believed to be responsible for it. Then it followed, of course, with kind of riots as well. Good to see that it has calmed down a bit now. But yes, yet again, Paris, the centre of attention, and not for a good reason.
No. And a lot of questions, as Anne said there, about what exactly happened there. And I'm sure that's going to all come out.
He only just got out of prison, apparently.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, awful story, and at this time of year especially. Now, I think we do have time to share some pictures with you of your Christmas trees. We've been asking you to send them in all morning. This is from Adam and Jude, I believe.
Solid effort,
this is a colourful tree here. If you're listening on the radio, lots of bright gold lights, lots of baubles, packed Christmas
a packed tree. It's a busy tree. It's a busy tree.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm just struggling to see at the moment whether or not, though, they've hit the trifecta, which is real tree, Ellie and Patrick in the picture, and a dog or cat. Those are the 3 criteria. Of course, we are looking, ladies and gentlemen, to be... Bosh. There we go.
Chris, I believe this is from.
Where's the animal?
There's no pet.
There's no pet, no.
We're on the screen.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Tree. I'm going to say not real, only because it's so symmetrical.
Well,
very neat.
Either that or it's a designer tree. But either way, it's lovely stuff. Now, I have got some absolute corkers in front of me here as well. We're going to be smattering them across this show today in their dribs and drabs. Please do send them in. And thank you, everybody who is. And it's really nice to know that so many of you are actually watching and enjoying your Christmases as well. I really do hope that you've all managed to get home to your families and that you've got whatever kind of Christmas dinner that you've got all ready there for yourselves as well, and you're going to have a lovely day tomorrow.
Yeah, do let us know what you're doing for Christmas dinner. Let us know if you've done your wrapping, your presents. Patrick's still got to shop today.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a lot to do. But you're having a great time, aren't you? It's like a live stream. He's just watching all of the trees come in. He's very excited.
Do you think they'll let me off if I end up just not leaving the studio? I do have to go shopping.
Well, you basically don't leave the studio, do you? I mean, you live here.
I'm going to walk into the eye of the storm on Oxford Street.
Oh, dear. Oh, you don't want to do that. I walked down Oxford Street about 3 days ago and I had enough. Can't do it.
It'll take years off your life. Anyway.
It's sensory overload. Don't do it.
Coming up after the break, a look at how the celebrities, yes, that's right, easy for me to say, are showing off their decks this Christmas.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Deebs & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store. You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
The guy went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions.
I have no time for cultural totalitarianism.
We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with me, Patrick and Ellie.
Now, many celebrities, not just Patrick Christie's, have been taking to social media these past few weeks to show off their fancy Christmas decorations.
Some have really got into the Christmas spirit, getting their trees in that are 2 stories high and even matching their outfits with their decks.
Yes, and to help us go through some of the best celebrity ones is Stephanie Tedgy, who joins us in the studio
Good morning.
now.
Yes.
Good morning.
We're just about to see some OTT Christmas trees, guys. For me, I've been gobsmacked of what I've been seeing, including Kylie Jenner, the reality TV star from the Kardashian family. Wow. She has a 2-story Christmas tree, and if you see the amount of chocolate on it...
Wow!
That is just... It's bonkers.
Sorry, hang on a minute.
Look at that. Nuts. And look at all that chocolate. Who's going to eat that once that tree comes down? The kids can't even reach that.
She had to go... She's just gone to a wood, hasn't she?
Yeah.
And just chopped it down.
It looks like a forest in her hallway.
That is too much.
Wow.
Too much.
Do you know what, though? There's actually not a lot going on the tree.
No, except for the chocolate.
But
it's just the massive one. And then also we have Chris Hemsworth. He's been using his Thor skills to help his wife, Elsa, put the star on the tree.
Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he previously married to Miley Cyrus?
No, that's Liam Hemsworth, his brother.
Come on, Patrick.
Sorry, OK, you know what? I'll stay out of the celeb stuff.
Liam, you should know this.
I'll stay out of the celeb stuff.
He had to give his wife a boost to put the tree looks like it's about to drop.
Oh, that's what
she got it on.
I do love a massive tree.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah, she was good there.
Is your tree big?
It's as big as... it touches the roof of the flat, but that doesn't make it big.
Then we have the Queen of Christmas, Mariah Carey. I was a bit disappointed with her tree because I thought she was going to be quite ostentatious. I thought she would have been more diva-like, but she's kept it quite humble.
Hello, darlings. Come on in. Would you like to experience my winter wonderland?
Whoa.
Wow.
Is that her house?
I think that must be somewhere she just lounges, because I'm like, where is all the big diva trees that I was expecting from
It's
Mariah?
just lots of little trees and gardens.
lights
It's
and
like
stuff.
Vegas, isn't it?
Does look a bit like Vegas.
She does residency there, I think, doesn't
Does she?
Yeah,
So,
she
yeah.
does, she does.
Love it.
But I think she was in New York in that video.
Oh, okay.
But then also we have Jennifer Lopez. She's teaching us how to match with your Christmas tree, and she looks quite stylish.
Oh, we don't have J-Lo.
We don't have J-Lo.
Okay.
Can you describe for us,
describe,
Steph?
talk me through J-Lo.
She was wearing this lovely red outfit, which was matching all the red baubles on her Christmas tree. It's all about getting that perfect Christmas snap, and she had it. She looked very stylish.
Is your tree silver and disco-y bally?
It's a lot going on my tree. I wish it had more money on it, though. Seriously, that would be nice.
Yeah, that would...
But then also we have Stacey Solomon, who she was like my favourite tree, because her tree's been made from a pampas bush, which is a dream fulfilled for her.
Gosh.
Oh, she's doing it like that, is she?
So that's interesting. Good way of involving the kids, though, isn't it, actually?
They're quite quick, aren't they?
They are rapid, yeah.
So if you are listening on the radio, Stacey Solomon is filling a Christmas tree with pampas grass, right?
Yeah,
Is that
and
right?
she got that from her neighbour.
Oh, well, there you go.
Does the neighbour know? That's the question, isn't it?
I think he does, because she was like, for years she's been dreaming about having a pampas Christmas tree, and finally her neighbour donated some pampas bushes to create this lovely. But it's going to be a lot for her to sweep up at the end of Christmas.
Can I just put this out there? That's cool. I prefer a proper tree.
Yeah.
I prefer
You like
a
the
proper
green,
tree.
yeah.
I like a proper tree.
What do you think of white Christmas trees, Patrick? Do you think it's a bit OTT?
I think it depends on the decor in your house. Now, for me, it wouldn't work with my particular...
With your winter
lack
light.
lack of style, right? But I think for some people who've got a more modern place or whatever, very, very, very on the fence about some of the really, like, out-there coloured Christmas trees. Like, some people who've got, like, a bright purple one and stuff. I think
it's a bit
tacky.
OTT. I like keeping to tradition. I wish I had a real Christmas tree. That is my dream one day, to get a fresh Christmas tree. But I just don't like the end bit where you have to throw it away and all that stuff. So I think that's why I've got a fake one at the moment.
I'm going to throw it off the balcony, I think.
My last Christmas tree will be Amanda Holden. Well, it's not actually a Christmas tree. It's not about the inside. Sometimes it's about the outside as well. And you can see she's gone to town with 2 nutcrackers, lots of foliage and red baubles.
Wow, that's
Really
my
good.
favourite so far.
Is that Les Dennis on the list?
Oh, stop it, you. Stop it. Well, you could hear... I mean, that is remarkable stuff. Well done, everyone. Good level of commitment. We've done all right here at GB News, I think. There's mince pies.
Oh, did you want a mince pie? Sorry, so rude of me.
Yes.
Want the mince pie?
I'm diabetic, but I'll have one anyway.
Take one.
You've
Chef,
kill
take
Aidan
one.
McGee.
One. Thank
I've
you.
got one to you earlier. You've already got one.
I've already got one. I'm looking at it, not eating it at this stage. I'm still going to work off the sausage and egg McMuffin that I promised myself that I wouldn't eat. Anyway...
We need to talk about this.
Aidan McGee is with us in the studio. You might have seen him there. So we've done your showbiz. It's time for your sports now. But before we get to the sport, Aidan is a man of many talents, right? And
Your words, not mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not saying I disagree.
No, of course not. and you've printed off. You've gone to the liberty, Aidan,
Yeah.
of printing off a menu, the menu that you're going to be serving your family this Christmas. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's tomorrow night, so it's Christmas night. I've got 7 people in total coming round. I've got my brother Damien, his wife Lisa, their 3 kids, although they're a bit older now. The oldest one is 22, so she's bringing her boyfriend around, Alfie, so I'm going to be coaching him some pool as well, pool sessions. Getting right behind him, showing him a few shots.
Is this the first time you're meeting him?
No, I met him last year. I coached him last year, but I'll be interested to see if he's practised in between. So the menu, because everyone's going to be stuffed at around about, they're eating around about 2 o'clock. They're coming round to mine at around about 5. I think I'm going to serve finger food from around about 7:30. We're going to kick off with some festive puff pastry vol au vents, ham and cheese croquettes, which you'll see on the list, tomato mozzarella arancini, and then a cocktail that I perfected myself not 48 hours ago, Berries Royale cocktails, right? So there should be a video around of this. You can see me actually making it. Now, it's an exotic mix of Martini Fiero, Sipsmith Slow Gin. There it is being shaken there before it's put into these specialist cocktail glasses. Working kitchen as well, as you can see. lots of stuff going on in there. If we can just see the bubbly sort of consistency in that cocktail kit that I bought on Amazon about.
You've got a great kit. Yeah.
You have actually.
That's
Aidan.
totally unnecessary, that little gauge thing, unless you've got ice in it. I forgot to put the ice in it. But there you go. You can see it pouring in
that
there.
looks really
And
good.
you can see the fruit lollipop as well. That's a kind of a fusion of cultures.
Now,
really.
I hadn't noticed the fruit lollipop, but now you point it out.
Yeah.
And what's on that? Is it? Are we looking at blackberries and a slice of apple?
No, it's not. It's actually a slither of lemon. Now, there's the Prosecco going in. That gives it that kind of rich, crisp, fizzy, cool flavour. Or just consistency, texture. But that's going to be served tomorrow night. Some of the people in attendance are a little bit young, probably slightly under the age, but I'm going to make a non-alcoholic version for them. But my heart and soul has gone in to that cocktail. It's a perfect colour as well because it's really festive, it's red.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it's going to go down a storm tomorrow night. They're going to love it.
So,
yeah.
Sorry.
I was about to say, I feel like we need to taste this, Aidan.
I can bring something tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can do it tomorrow, no problem at all. No problem. But there's an asterisk at the top of the menu as well. I'm working at GB News. Were you going to say that, Steph?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you've got a nice little disclaimer saying that all guests must vacate your premise by 21:30, 9:30.
Yeah, well, I've got work next day. You know, someone's got to hold the fort here, haven't they?
Hang on a second. You've done this, a Christmas night menu with Aidan McGee, like an audience with.
I'm going to be telling stories. Some of you playing games.
Who do you think you are? Right?
I'm going to be telling stories and regaling people with the kind of year I've had. It's always eventful, you know.
OK, well, I'll tell you what.
They're going to love it.
Do you want to regale us a little bit with some sport at some point? What's going on?
Can we do that
Yeah,
tomorrow?
should we do some work?
Yeah, look, very, very sad. George Cohen we lost yesterday, one of the 1966 England World Cup heroes. Only two left now. Bobby Charlton and Sir Geoff Hurst, who scored their hat-trick. 459 appearances for Fulham, 37 caps for England between 1964 and 1967. He was the first of the attacking fullbacks with pace. Alf Ramsey played without wingers, so your width had to come from somewhere. George Best described him as the best fullback, the best right-back he'd ever played against. I met him a number of times early in my career, 20-odd years ago. He used to pick up the phone to me. You know, very few people pick up the phone to me now. He was a 66 World Cup winner. I phoned him out of the blue to ask for a favour, and he always gave me a quote. If we wanted to talk football, he talked and talked and talked. There was one instance when I was asked by The Sun, I think I was working for at the time, to get some details on, or well, get some comment from a 66 player about what he thinks of Sven-Göran Eriksson inviting all the wags to the World Cup. So I phoned him up. I thought, what do you think about it? He goes, well, look, my wife Daphne was a wag during the World Cup. Why don't I put the phone onto her? So I spoke to her and I got a big back page lead out of it. It was fantastic. What an absolute gentleman. You see him a lot of Fulham, a hero down there. I'm a QPR fan. Fulham are our rivals, but all rivalries aside, he is a magnificent person, a true Great Britain, and it's a sad loss yesterday. Losing.
What a loss, but what a life as well.
Oh, what a life! Yeah, exactly. I mean, Frank Lampard said recently it's absolutely right and proper, and he has uncles and aunts who are kind of that generation of the World Cup winning side. Bobby Moore was in that team, of course, who knew Frank's father and his uncle Harry Redknapp, of course. He said it's only right that we celebrate them as much as possible. We've just seen in the last week or so just how hard it is to win a World Cup.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. It may not happen again. We hope that's not the case, but they still stand alone as the achievers. And don't forget, George Cohen's nephew was a winner of the 2003 World Cup in rugby union, so a family of sporting excellence.
Well, it is a family of sporting greats, actually. In fact, that is incredible. There's probably a stat out there, don't, regale me with it right now, but there probably is a stat out there about what families in the world have got 2 World Cup winners from 2 different sports. That's a pub quiz question, if ever I've heard one, of course. Also, some of the other big sporting events, they were darts.
Yeah, darts, that's right. Well, I mean, listen, the darts is underway, so you have a hiatus between the darts before Christmas and the darts after Christmas. So we had the end of the first session last night. It resumes on the 27th. Now, one of our producers, James, is saying to me, like, it's been diluted a little bit. They raised the number of competitors to 90 back in 2019. They've raised it again this time to 148. So it's making the competition at the lower end. You used to see some quite competitive matches at the lower end. You'd see a decent competitor or a fancied seeded player going out quite early because there was the possibility that with the competition a bit stronger, you'd get that happening. You get the upset. Now you're not seeing that. You're seeing whitewashes in the first 2 or 3 rounds until we're getting to the point where it's almost like everyone gets a prize. They've even got a Ukrainian guy in there who, quite simply, Patrick, wasn't up to scratch. You know, he went out very early. So, look, Peter Wright's still in it. He's the champion, but still a great event. And as I say, I covered it back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s at Circus Tavern when it was in front of 600 people watching it, a few weirdos, including me. And now it's a mass event.
It's amazing how young you still. It's amazing how young you still look, Adrian. Fantastic stuff.
Thanks.
Okay.
It's so popular, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Oh, it's brilliant.
But, no, really, really good. Well, enjoy your Christmas menu. Are we going to see you tomorrow?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to bring in some Galaxy Rice Krispie cakes.
Yes,
personalised.
and make sure you do, and maybe
that.
a drop of the cocktail.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
Are you in tomorrow?
No, I'm not in tomorrow. That's why I brought all the sequins today.
That's why she's stressed.
But I'm going to be
I've worked
watching
21
you
Christmas
guys.
days in a row, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, I didn't want to break the rule, and I didn't want to break the run. I didn't want to leave you too high and dry.
No, thank you very much. All right,
Lots of love, guys.
Thank you. Right, I think we've just got time for a couple of Christmas trees. We've been asking you the whole show, haven't we? GBviews at gbnews.uk. So whack in your Christmas trees, people. And has anyone managed to achieve the Holy Trinity, which is
our version of the Holy Trinity?
Our version of the Holy Trinity. A real Christmas tree, us in the shot, and some form of animal. Mandy's been on. Let's see if
she's got it.
Mandy's got here.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a lovely tree. Is the tree too big for the
No, I'm
room?
sorry. I think that might be my favourite one. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm going to call it now.
Classy.
Yeah, I love it. I love when you just stick to one colour and you just go.
Well, they've thought about it with the fittings and the decor around it. You've got the carpet. It blends in quite well with the wall as well.
Yeah, Mandy, I like your taste.
OK, apparently it's just the one... OK, apparently what we're doing now is we're going to hold fire on the rest of the trees because we've had some utter corkers come in.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it as a big
Like
section
a Christmas
later
tree
on.
corner, right?
Christmas tree corner, yes, absolutely. Right, so more to come from us here, including a final look at this morning's newspapers, and all of that is coming your way very shortly.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked. Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akue, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Patrick and Ellie. Let's take a look at today's front pages.
OK, so what we got? We've got the Times. They're leading with Rishi Sunak's plans to lure early retirees back into work, with the headline, over 50s encouraged to end early retirement.
The Telegraph leads with the rise in defence spending, with an estimated £1 billion extra needed for the Ministry of Defence to avoid real-term cuts over the next 2 years.
We're off to The Guardian now, who stay on the topic of strikes and how unions are reportedly accusing ministers of causing festive travel chaos.
The Daily Mail takes a different angle on strikes, claiming that the NHS are wasting millions on woke non-jobs as frontline workers strike for better pay.
Finally, it's The Mirror, and they lead on what we can expect from King Charles's first Christmas speech, with the headline, always close to Momo, which is tender, emotional.
Yeah, and it will be emotional, I think, for many people. And you're going to be watching it at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
3 p.m. tomorrow, 3 p.m. everybody. And I found out today, I was today years old when I learned that was because traditionally it rides across the empire, that was the time when most people would be up and about, basically.
Yeah,
So
it has been that way for 90 years.
It has been that way for 90 years, which is remarkable that I've only just found that out. Anyway, time to go through the papers now. And joining us to do that is the editor of Spiked, Tom Slater, and journalist and playwright Emma Burnell. Where are we starting?
Emma, we're starting with you and BBC Traitors, but I've also realised I'm really rude and I shouldn't have offered you a mince pie. No,
I won't.
You're being sensible.
I've been full of chocolate
Go
backstage,
on.
so...
Treat yourself.
Get that.
So, let's start with you then, Emma, shall we? With The Star, BBC Traitors. Everyone's talking about this.
Oh, my God, it was so good. I could not stop watching it. I just got so into it. It is, I think it's been the appointment TV of the year. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yeah, what is it?
So this group of people were taken to a castle in Scotland and then 3 of them were told that they were traitors and the rest of them were called faithfuls. And the traitors had to try and... every night they got to murder someone. And then every night they had to sit at a round table and everyone got together and said, we think you're a traitor, you have to leave. And then the person revealed whether they were or were not a traitor. And it was so human and intriguing and people were playing and backstabbing and forming alliances and making terrible decisions. And they won lots of money in tasks every day. And the idea was at the end... they would stop the game when they thought they'd got rid of all the traitors, and if that was the case that they had, they would split the money. But if a traitor had remained, they would have got all of the money.
Oh.
And it was so intriguing, and the characters in it were extraordinary. And the story that we're talking about it on the back of, one of the finalists who did win the money was a woman with dwarfism.
Oh.
OK.
And she was... and there were... I mean, it was incredibly diverse cast, really, really interesting, everyone putting something into it. And watching Meryl on a speedboat, just zipping around, just absolutely having the time of her life. She was fantastic. And she says in the story that she wanted to be an advocate for people being with...
But was she a traitor, though?
I'm not going to reveal that because Ellie hasn't watched it yet.
I want to watch it.
And if I tell you that, then you'll know whether...
Oh, I see.
Now, the watching audience do know who the traitors are, but if I tell you that, it will spoil the ending for you.
OK. Well, there we go. I must say, Twitter last night was rife with traitors.
Absolutely.
I wonder what got on.
Yeah, it's taken the country by storm.
There will not be many babies named Wilf coming up, I'm telling you that much.
Wow,
really?
OK. What have we got next, Tom Slater?
Bird Box turned into a speed camp. So there was a gentleman from a village in Nottinghamshire who was getting increasingly frustrated about people breaking the 30-mile-an-hour limit on the local roads. So what he decided to take matters into his own hands, took a bird box, painted it to look like a speed camera and stuck it on top of the pole. So...
It's quite a good idea, actually.
Absolutely.
Well, this reminds me of a couple of speed camera-related stories. There was a lady who was sick and tired of people speeding down her road, so she used to take a hairdryer out and stand in high vis.
Amazing.
And people would slam the brakes on, and it was fantastic. But there was also the rather elderly chap who was unfortunately told he didn't necessarily have long to live, who did a bucket list, and one of them was to moon a speed camera, and he got arrested for it.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, there you go.
Was being arrested also on his bucket list, though?
No, it wasn't. Definitely not, actually. Definitely not. Have we got time for one more? One more in the news?
I think we do, yeah. Can't hear anything, but I'm going to make it.
Yes, we do.
We do, and it's about Dolly Parton. Who I love. Tell us about her.
So I adore Dolly Parton. She is absolutely fantastic. And in 2015, apparently, she put an unreleased song in a time capsule, and it will not be opened up until she's 99, which is will be 30 years after that. So, I can't do that, but 2035, something like that. But not for a long time. And she's, she's desperate for people to hear it. She says it's a great song and she can't wait for us all to hear it. But I just think the idea of there still being Dolly Parton songs in 2035 is a wonderful, wonderful thought.
That's something to look forward to, isn't it?
It is. Tom, are you a fan of Dolly Parton? Bet you never thought you'd be asked this on the telly.
No. I'm not as acquainted with her back catalogue as I'd like to be, but after that ringing endorsement from Emma, I'm going to rectify that this afternoon.
Absolutely incredible. And her appearance at Glastonbury a few years ago was stunning. Absolutely
legendary.
Amazing.
We'll be treated to the warblings of Elton John this year, won't we? Next year. Anyway, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry if there's a lot of Elton fans out there. I think it's time for him to hang up his piano.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, it is.
No, his voice still sounds the same, though. Still sounds very good. No, don't think so. Oh, controversy.
Not for me. Right, well, moving on.
Well, you two have been fabulous
Thank
this
you.
morning.
Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And what are your plans?
Going back home to Christmas.
Going back
for
home.
Christmas.
Where's home?
The suburbs, northwest
Lovely.
London.
Well, enjoy.
Burbs. Not far at all.
The burbs.
Badlands.
And you are with your
I'm
mother-in-law?
I'm with my brother-in-law's a chef, so he's cooking our Christmas dinner tomorrow, and I'm doing a crisis shift again tonight.
Oh, you're very good. You're very good.
Well done,
Merry
you.
Christmas to both of you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for this morning. You've been fabulous.
OK, well, it is Christmas tomorrow, and that might be, eating a lot of chocolate and all the trimmings until you're stuffed.
Like
but
you.
also, yeah, well, thank you, but also some Christmas tunes whilst you do that as well.
Yes, Christmas is notorious for some of the best songs and some of the worst.
Well, let's speak now to singer-songwriter Mike Batt. To get into this, Mike, what song do you... Well, I was just looking now, it says in my also cue, what song do you absolutely hate, right? We've had enough misery. What songs do you absolutely love?
Yeah, let's not talk about the ones I hate because the people that wrote them will get all upset with me. Not that I'm, worried about things like that, except they might be my friends. You never know. And there certainly wouldn't be if I said which ones I didn't. Which ones do I like? Okay, well, the one that I always think is a great one because it's got lovely Christmas spirit. I either probably hate it or love it, and that's Greg Lake's I Believe in Father Christmas, because I love that Prokofiev classical tune that comes in. Da, 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 that really festive thing.
I'm told to stop you there, Mike. I believe that we can hear it.
They said there'll be snow at Christmas. They said there'll be peace on earth. But instead it just kept on raining. A veil of tears for the virgin birth.
That's the one. It's a classic.
Sorry, I didn't realise we were back in Vision, actually.
You're really in the zone.
Carried away. I was living for that. What else, Mike? What other ones do you like, Mike?
What other ones do I like? I like so many of them. I like the Noddy Holder one. No, and I tell you what, I also like the Roy Wood Wizard. That's just a lovely. Everybody loves that, don't they? I can't think of anyone who doesn't. It's just a hardy perennial. Funny enough, didn't get to number one. Neither did Wobbling Merry Christmas. But it's just that there's a little grouping of. There used to be, certainly when I was doing it in the big days of the Christmas number ones, if you were number two, sort of nobody really noticed. It was just the fact that you were in that little group. And the Roy Wizard, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, that's one that really gets my feet tapping. I love that one.
Yeah. And Mike, is it like a big green tick for an artist to come up with a really good Christmas song? 'Cause every year it comes around and then they must get so many royalties. I mean, it must be something to aim for, surely.
I think there are some that are like that. I know Shane McGowan has said, is on record as saying that he makes a lot of money every Christmas from his wonderful Fairy Tale in New York. I don't particularly notice that much of a kicker on Wombly Merry Christmas, but because it's a Womble song, I mean, hello, you're not going to get everyone playing it all the time, but I think that. I mean, I think the film script. Do you remember that film where Hugh Grant played a guy who was living off the royalties of his dad's Christmas hit?
Boy.
Yes, it must be a factor.
And Mike, I wanted to ask you
there's
about...
a time delay here. Sorry, we're interrupting each other.
I think there is a little bit of a delay. Patrick was just telling you the film is about a boy.
Yeah,
That
it's all right. You're welcome, Mike.
He's a big fan.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I keep rambling on, and then I don't know whether you're talking or not.
That's
Sorry,
all right.
We're talking over each other. We wanted to ask about the Christmas number one, your thoughts. This is Lad Baby. I think this is their fourth or fifth. The fifth consecutive Christmas number one with a cover of Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas? But they've called it Food Aid. It's about cost of living. What do you make of this?
I absolutely think it's fantastic that these guys have done. I think it's the fourth Christmas number one in a row. And I think it's great because there's heart to it. They got official permission from Midge, who wrote the song, Midge and Bob, obviously, the two of them, and they're all behind it as well. They've given them their blessing to it, and it's Feed the UK. I mean, why not? I mean, there's a genuine thought behind it, and I always thought it was a great song, and I always thought it was a great pity as well. I mean, even though the charity is exactly why they did it, I think what a terrible pity is that Midge and Bob, didn't actually never get anything from having written that song. But that's a sort of songwriter thinking, you did all that work, but you get this wonderful feeling of goodwill that they've actually done such a lot of good in the world. And I think these people, the Lad Baby, are carrying that tradition on with it. There was a time, again, you got to cut me off if you want to stop me rambling, but there was a time when...
All right then, Mike, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. And you take care, all right? You have a great Christmas, Mike, all right? No, but seriously, we do actually... The timing of that was impeccable because we do have to go. Sorry about that.
OK, Mike, all right, I did invite you to cut me off, so...
All right, bye,
peace and love.
Bye. Have a good
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
OK, people. Yep, that's good. Right, OK, good. OK, so what? So anyway, now, if you've ever thought that Christmas wasn't all you thought it would be, spare a thought for those who may not see another. Very much a tone shift here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, in Northern Ireland, the Children to Lapland Trust took a plane load of children with terminal and life-threatening conditions to see Father Christmas. And our reporter, Dougie Beattie, went along to find out more.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh.
Christmas gifts can come in many forms, and for families that have had a child with terminal or life-threatening illnesses, a getaway to a land of innocence, snow and make-believe may just be the ticket.
It means everything, really, to be honest. We've never been in a family trip like this before, so it's going to be magical.
Yeah, this is the first time. This is Evie's first time away too. It's your first holiday? Yeah.
Ella was diagnosed with a brain tumour, so we had went through a whole year of chemo, radiation and everything, and we've come to the end of it, and the nurses said to us that they would nominate her, and that's how we got here.
The wait is finally over. This privately chartered jet behind me will fly these children to Lapland for the magic of Christmas and to meet Santa.
I'm going to see Santa.
Ah, and what are you going to ask him for?
A present. I'm going to ask him for like a gaming monitor and LED lights and all for my bedroom.
With such a journey, medical experience must be on hand. And Dr. Mark Rowlands is the medical director and explains the seriousness of the situation.
These children are sick. I mean, they are life limited and terminal. Some of these kids might never see Santa Claus again, so this is a big, big trip. But you name it, they've had everything: liver transplants, heart transplants, bone marrow transplants. Still a lot of them under a lot of care and treatment at the moment. They're all stabilised. We've all had the go-ahead from their individual consultants that they're fit to go, and we want to make sure that they have a great day.
Even the flight crew have a soft spot for this trip, and Captain John Rowland is no different.
Oh, it's wonderful to see all the kids going away to see Father Christmas. They're really excited, so I love doing these flights.
The landscape and climate here are very different, and that gives the families an opportunity to sample some new experiences. The highlight of the day is the one-to-one with Santa, and his advice for children was very clear. How long should it be before they go to sleep on Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve, it could be very good if they can go and sleep about at least at 9 o'clock in the evening, yeah. And then if they have a fireplace, so that they should check up that they have no fire in the fireplace on Christmas Eve.
The whole experience may be a lot to put into one day, but the children on this plane need specific medical support, and time is of the essence. But for most, it's a day that dreams will be realised and memories made. Dougie Beattie, GB News.
Oh, that's so sweet. And Dougie actually does that every single year, I'm sure he won't mind me saying. And he works very closely with that charity, and it's a really fabulous cause. So do check them out if you can. Really, really amazing stuff.
Really
Thank
touching,
you, Jiggy,
actually.
for
Well
sharing
done.
that with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Well, we've been asking you, haven't we, throughout the course of the show to send in the Christmas trees?
Yes, we have. And this Christmas tree corner that we promised you. I feel like we should have a jingle or something, shouldn't we? And some of the team here have got involved. This is Tom. So he's our director in our ear this morning.
Hang on.
And this is Dad, Nick, and the dogs.
And he's standing in front of his Christmas tree, right? So we can see the star on it.
Apparently it's enough to see the star,
It's enough to see the star. 2 dogs, one of which a puppy. He's not got what we are terming our Holy Trinity here, which is a TV shot of Ellie and I, the tree and the animal, but he's not far off. It's also worth noting as well, can I just say, that the gentleman in that picture, especially me, I think we can all agree, owe him a massive thank you.
Yes.
And a really, really happy Christmas, because he is our lawyer. So thank you very much, Nick. You absolute legend.
We work hard.
Still got a job.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's on speed dial with me. I'm always ringing Nick. So, Merry Christmas to you, Nick.
Cheers,
Hopefully
Nick.
leave you alone for a few days.
And for all you
This is
do.
from Christina.
Trifecta. Well done.
Very good work, Christina. This is her dog, Stanley.
Christina.
Oh, look. And do you know what, Christina? I'm actually going to give you an extra point because you've got the Holy Trinity, which is the tree, Patrick and I, and the pet. But your pet is dressed up as an elf.
And it's a British bulldog.
Oh, come on.
I mean, this is a winner, people.
It doesn't get any more
This is a
GBNews than
winner.
that.
Oh.
Fabulous.
All
Great
right, we're
work.
going on now. We're moving on. Who's this? Who's
Quickly
this?
on.
Alan and Elaine. Alan and Elaine. I think we might have seen this already, Alan
we might
and
have seen
Elaine.
that one then.
But it's still a good effort. It's still a nice effort. Christmas tree, bit of tinsel up the stairs. You love to see it.
You've seen it, Sharon?
Next.
Sharon's coming up next. Next.
Oh,
well, that's a good one.
So this is... I wonder what the dog's called.
Yes,
I don't
we
know.
need some detail.
That's nice. They've got glowing presents just underneath the Christmas tree.
And a lantern.
And Ellie and I on that. OK, this is one last one. This is a lovely one. This is a lovely one. And it looks a little bit like an Irishy wolfhound type dog.
Who's this from?
Little conifer. And unfortunately, I can't read your name out because I don't have it, unfortunately. But thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Ellie.
Thank you. First time working together. It's been lots of fun, hasn't it?
I've really
and
enjoyed
more to come tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
We live here now. And that was from Lee, that tree, just been told.
From Lee. Well done, Lee. Right, thank you, everybody, who's been getting in touch. We love it here. And good luck with all your last-minute shopping. I know you are. And everything you're prepping for your family or whatever you're doing. Good luck getting home. It's been wonderful to share this time with you. We'll see you tomorrow, won't we?
See you tomorrow.
Good morning, I'm Alex Deakin, and this is your latest weather forecast from the Met Office. Christmas Eve, like Christmas Day, will be pretty mild and windy. There's going to be some rain around as well, but colder conditions are on the way for Boxing Day. Here's the big picture. Low pressure in control. It's wafting in mild air, and with that milder air comes plenty of showers as well. In fact, this morning we do have some snow falling over northern Scotland, mostly over hills, but some for a time getting down to lower levels. That should tend to fizzle out through the day. And actually, for most places, it's a dry and a bright Christmas Eve. There'll be some decent spells of sunshine. The winds will strengthen later, and certainly this afternoon, some showers for Wales and Northern Ireland that could well be on the heavy side. It is going to be mild, temperatures reaching double figures across the south and even further north across Scotland, a little warmer than it was yesterday. Still feeling cold, though, in the far north with the wet and windy weather here. Getting blustery everywhere this afternoon and through this evening.